things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubt. But they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubts. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back up. I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good afternoon. It has been another frustrating day for freedom, for those involved in vaping, whether you're just a vapor or whether you're a vaping business. Another strike today, a big one, a very, very big one. I am working on, or trying to work on, a list of the different states that are imposing these bans, giving you a little bit of an idea of what I'm up to. And from there, we're going to find the loopholes that are in those laws or executive orders or whatever it is that the schmucks decide to put out. And we're going to do our best to work around them. That's my plan. That's not just my plan. That's the plan of many vape shop owners. It's time that I come out of retirement, so to speak, when it comes to vaping. It's time that I come out and I start back up. Plain and simple. We have to beat this. On our mission that I announced yesterday, yet was a bit vague about it, after, I guess, Monday or so, probably Monday, we'll be 2/3 of the way there. Hopefully that will be enough to be able to do, or enough time is what I'm saying. Because I'll tell you what, after seeing what happened in Massachusetts today, I am not holding my breath. I'm not. I was hoping that maybe since our state is still out, they're not in legislative session right now. They won't be for nearly a month. I was hoping that possibly I had roughly a month to be able to put things together. It doesn't look like I do. Plain and simple. So come about Monday-ish, the Amazon affiliate money will be in, and I'll be 2/3 of the way there. I hope I can pull this off. I really hope I can pull this off. I'm still going to be vague because I have to be. I can't let them know all of my tricks up my sleeve. But there are plenty. There are plenty. Look, folks, I draw the line. I draw the line when it comes to personal decisions that people make to improve their health. No, I'm not going to play their game. We know what is making people sick. We know what has killed, I believe, 9 people now. We know what it is. And yet they're punishing the entire vaping community. We know what it is. It's black market THC cartridges. Period. That's it. It has nothing to do with nicotine vaping. Hell, it has nothing to do with CBD oil vaping. This is purely street drugs. Illegal, illicit street drugs. But yet, they found a way to get a foothold on this. And they've been trying to get rid of vaping ever since it came out. Ever since it came out, they've been trying to get rid of vaping. It's a big hit for Big Pharma, a big hit for Big Tobacco. A very big hit. And those behind this push are absolutely loving this. And believe me, the states make a fortune from Big Tobacco. You don't believe so? Look up something called the MSA. And you'll see just how much so. I expect Illinois to be making an announcement any day, which, by the way, there is breaking news. I guess I ought to spit out real quick. Nancy Pelosi has officially announced impeachment, an impeachment request, or however it's worded. Anyway, that is breaking just as we came on the air. Anyway, I'm expecting an announcement from the state of Illinois literally anytime. Anytime today, tomorrow, the next day. I don't know when, but believe me, it's coming. Because this state is so beyond corrupt. It's unreal. Absolutely beyond corrupt. So, I'm doing everything I can to get prepared. Again, I wished I could share just everything that I have up my sleeve, but I can't, and I'm sorry. If I did that, it would be pointless for me to do any of it. But I do have stuff up my sleeve. As to my earlier comment about finding out what laws are in what states and finding the loopholes, we are going to try to take care of those states. Like, to my knowledge, right now in New York, it would be okay if we sold people a do-it-yourself kit. Essentially, instead of one bottle of juice, okay, all complete, ready to vape, they would get 2 bottles, right? Because they banned the sale of flavored e-juice, okay? So if we have a bottle of flavoring and a separate bottle of nicotine solution, mixed up all the percentages just how they need it, and all they have to do is mix the 2 bottles to have the very same thing that they went and bought on a shelf last week, then guess what? It's legal. It's legal. And they are getting the same thing that they had got previously. Now, I'm not the one who first thought of this, and there are others already taking action and doing this, which is what I firmly believe led to the stance by the state of Massachusetts. They want this gone. And I'm saying not just no, but hell no. I am encouraging everybody in each one of these states to assemble on their Capitol's grounds, on the Capitol building's grounds of their state, and refuse to leave until the so-called representatives do. Because this is ridiculous. This has nothing to do with nicotine vaping, but they see it as a foothold to be able to get rid of it so that they can pump the states with even more money from tobacco. And then Big Pharma can get more money from everywhere because now they're going to be dealing with a hell of a lot more lung cancer patients. Plus, those that really, truly don't want to smoke anymore are going to be buying their products, their nicotine gums, their patches. Oh yeah, don't forget their new vaping device that is FDA approved. They won't call it a vaping device, though. They won't call it a vaping device, but that's what it is. This is about money. And they don't give a damn about you and I. They don't care. Not in the least bit. So let me show you what's going on in Massachusetts real quick, and then we'll get through the regular stuff. Like I say, I'm on this mission. I'll probably have, if my numbers are correct, I'll probably have to come up with about another $80 if I'm correct, about another $80 after Monday-ish when I get the Amazon affiliate money. So close. We're very close. Very, very close. Okay. Let me show you this article real quick. This is from, what is it from? Boston Globe. I keep thinking Boston Herald for some reason. This is from bostonglobe.com. Baker declares public health emergency, orders 4-month ban on all vaping products. All of them. Facing an explosion of vaping-related illnesses, Governor Charlie Baker on Tuesday ordered a 4-month ban on the sale of all vaping products in Massachusetts, the latest and believed to be the furthest-reaching move to address what state officials call a public health crisis. Baker, in declaring a public health emergency, said the temporary ban will apply to sales of both tobacco and marijuana electronic cigarettes. State officials say they believe the emergency statewide prohibition is the first of its kind in the country. The ban takes effect immediately and lasts through January 25, 2020, according to Baker's office. The state's Public Health Council was expected to meet and formally approve the ban Tuesday afternoon. The Baker administration stressed that the ban is a pause to allow the medical community and federal officials time to investigate what's driving the spike in illnesses, which have been tied to 9 deaths and 530 cases nationwide. Massachusetts officials have reported 61 possible cases in the state as of Monday, including among teenagers, a jump from 38 just last week. Now remember, the individuals that are being honest and forthcoming are tying every one of these to black market THC cartridges. Every last one of these. Baker said the state has reported 5 cases to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, including 3 in which vaping was confirmed as the cause of the illness. Baker said he huddled with doctors and medical professionals Friday to hear of their experiences treating patients, a discussion he called deeply troubling. He described a complicated, multifaceted problem that includes many unanswered questions from what types of additives are to blame for the current outbreak to even what parts of the electronic cigarette devices may be helping drive it. One of the experts said that we don't have time to wait. People are getting sick and the time to act is now. I couldn't agree more, the Republican said. The Republican said at a state house news conference with state health officials and doctors. The reason why I pointed out Republican is because right now, if you go over to the different vaping communities on Facebook, it's all being blamed on Democrats. All of this, every bit of it's being blamed on Democrats. Okay? That's not the case. This is a bipartisan effort. Hey, it doesn't matter if you're red or blue, right? You'll still take buyout money. It doesn't matter. E-cigarette usage is exploding, and it is clear. It's clear there's a very real danger to the population. The temporary ban will allow state government and medical providers the time they need to understand the dangers and respond accordingly. The move to ban all vaping products appears to go further than other states have to address the outbreak of cases. Both New York and Michigan earlier this month outlawed the sale of flavored e-cigarettes, and in June, San Francisco became the first major city in the country to ban the distribution or sale of e-cigarettes. Locally, Mayor Martin J. Walsh proposed regulations in Boston to help curb youth vaping by limiting where mint and menthol nicotine products can be purchased. Folks, if we want to battle the youth vaping, the best way is to make the penalties extremely harsh on those kids. Number 1. Number 2, ban the sale of them in gas stations and convenience stores. There you go. Right there. It's simple, but that is not the target. That is not the target. Baker said last week that he was evaluating what emergency options the state has to address the sale of vaping products. He told reporters Monday that the spread of lung-related illnesses had the administration's full attention. The administration is also weighing whether to file further regulations or legislation, according to his office. Massachusetts retailers indicated that they intend to comply with the order. Jonathan Shayer, executive director of the New England Convenience Store and Energy Marketers Association, said the group understands why Baker called for the prohibition. Nexima will take immediate action to notify its members of the emergency declaration regarding all vape products so they may remove them from their shelves right away, he said. Baker said the State Department of Public Health and local boards of health, in conjunction with local law enforcement, will enforce the ban. He said his administration has had conversations with the state's Cannabis Control Commission and that it also plans to enforce the order. The announcement, however, immediately sent shockwaves to the state's fledgling legal marijuana industry. One of the top marijuana officials, Shailene Title of the Cannabis Control Commission, strongly criticized Baker's order, saying it will only encourage consumers to use riskier, unregulated products sold in spite of the ban. Very true. Very true. This is a terrible decision, Title wrote on Twitter. purposely pushing people into the illicit market, precisely where the dangerous products are, goes against every principle of public health and harm reduction. It is dangerous, short-sighted, and undermines the benefits of legal regulation. David O'Brien, the president of the Massachusetts Cannabis Business Association, urged the Baker administration to quickly investigate and clear vaping products at regulated marijuana shops, insisting they have not been linked to the acute lung illnesses affecting dozens of patients in the state. There seems to be a conflation of all things vaping, O'Brien said. This might be a baby with the bathwater type of issue. Stores will do what they're told, but let's not have an elongated timeout. Let's figure out what's at issue, and if legal cannabis is not the issue, then let it be sold. I strongly suspect it isn't. For licensed marijuana companies in Massachusetts, the temporary ban on vaping products could be detrimental. Last week, marijuana concentrates such as vaping cartridges made up about 19% of the total marijuana product sales across the state, according to Cannabis Control Commission data. And that's after vaping sales dropped about 25% over the last 6 weeks. Chris Harkins, founder of cannabis company Northeast Alternatives, which operates an adult-use marijuana store in Fall River, said vaping products make up about 25% of their overall sales. From our perspective, it's just a major overreaction, and it's going to take away a delivery option that a lot of people use for many reasons, Harkins said. State lawmakers are already pushing separate bills that would ban all flavored tobacco products, including the liquid used in e-cigarettes and other vaping devices. That ban, which supporters have said would be the furthest reaching in the country, would apply to all flavors, including menthol, mint, and wintergreen, which to date have often been exempted from flavor-related regulations on grounds that they are adult flavors. Mark Heimovitz, Massachusetts Director of Government Relations for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, applauded Baker's move, but said lawmakers should still pursue legislation. ACS-CAN is encouraged by Governor Baker's action, recognizing the dangers posed to our youth by e-cigarettes. However, Big Tobacco's dangerous agenda calls for comprehensive, permanent policy change, he said. And I know a long article, and it goes into something that we're really not even discussing, which is the legal marijuana market, which, by the way, I'm not excluding them for any reason. I guess the biggest reason probably is because that's not something that's here quite yet. It will be in January, depending on what all happens here. But, you know, this is the ridiculous thing. We already know what has caused this. We already know. There have already been arrests made. Okay? This is the crazy thing. There have already been arrests made. We know exactly what's causing the illnesses, and we know exactly what's caused the deaths. And it's vitamin E acetate. Vitamin E acetate. And what it is these street dealers are taking these cartridges, okay, and they're essentially watering them down. But they're using vitamin E acetate to water them down. See, you go in, you buy a cartridge, and then you dump half of it out into another empty cartridge, and then you fill up the rest, the other half with the vitamin C acetate, and guess what? You just doubled your money. That's what's going on here. That is what's going on here. We're not going to fix this issue by banning vaping. We're only going to fix this issue by finding those responsible and charging them with murder. Period. Anytime you produce a product that takes another human being's life, you should be held accountable. But right now, the entire vaping industry is being held accountable. If there was something with nicotine vaping that was going to cost lives, don't you think it would have done it all these years? Don't you think it would have done it sooner? So we have to look at what's different, what's new, what's changed. And there you have it. The illicit THC cartridge market. That is what's changed. And that's it. That's it. They've already confirmed this stuff. That's what blows my mind. That's what blows my mind. This is an agenda at play here. Plain and simple. So anyway, that's what's going on so far. I don't know of anything other. Let me kind of take a peek and look here. I don't know of anything other that's going on in the vaping industry. I'm looking at emails and whatnot, and I get information coming in all kinds of places, So, I will try to keep people as updated as possible, and I will, as far as my mission is concerned, I will let you know as much as I can. I just can't just put it all out there. But I was a little more forthcoming today about some of the things going on. Again, there's several tricks up my sleeve. I'm not the only one. There's quite a few people. But I'll tell you what, I'm keeping my tent, and I'm keeping my bug out bag and my bug out food supplies handy. I'll say that much. Okay. So let me run through the normal stuff real quick, and then we will go from there. Amazon affiliate. We are at $81.90. That is absolutely incredible. And I noticed that there's even more items ordered, and I even took a look at what items, and it looks like it's going to bump up considerably yet again. So we may actually beat our record this month, which is great. The record's like 88 something. So that's just incredible. That's incredible. Now, unfortunately, it'll be like 2 months before I see that. So, but, it is what it is. I'm getting, I think it's, I can't remember now. I'd have to look. But I believe it's just over 80 that I'll be getting this month. That'll be coming about Monday or so. And then that's why I was saying I probably need about 80 on top of that to finish what my plan is to put everything in place. But it's a good one. Anyway, so I thank everybody that participates in that. Please keep it up. This is awesome. And I promise you, as soon as we can get past this nightmare that we were blindsided with, we will be right back to prepping. I promise you that. Nobody expected this. Nobody did. And, all I'm doing is I'm still prepping. I'm just prepping for something else. I'm prepping for a different type of event. Okay? It's still prepping. But anyway, again, thank you. For those that don't know, there's a link in the description of the videos as well as on the homepage of the WatchmanNews.com. And I'll just combine them both for our Amazon affiliate link and our Amazon store. If you do shopping on Amazon, whether it be in our Amazon store or just through our Amazon link, it doesn't cost you anything more, and it throws a little bit our way. So it is much, much appreciated. As you can see, every little bit adds up. We also have a donate link that is also in the description of the videos, or you can go to thewatchmannews.com/donate, or you can just go to the homepage of thewatchmannews.com, click the button. It takes you to our PayPal donation page, and you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just do it as a guest with a debit or a credit card, and I always let people know that it will say Transforming Disabilities up top. It will also say Purpose the Watchman News donation. That way you know you're in the right place. And the one other thing in the link to the video, and actually if you go to thewatchmannews.com and click Teespring store, we also have a Teespring store now as well. So you can either support us and vaping with one of the two options I have there for I Vape, I Vote, or we have the Watchman News logo. So either way, and we get a little bit of funds from that, not a fortune or anything like that, but it's all support, whether it be you wearing a shirt or funds or whatever. That's what it's all about, is getting the truth out there. So anyway, that covers that stuff. Let me get those pages closed there. Have a sip of coffee. We'll run through some headlines. And we'll go from there. This is, I'm telling you, this is tiring. Very tiring. This isn't my first rodeo when it comes to vaping. It's far from it, and I'm tired. I'm tired. One of my first rodeos with vaping actually led to a restraining order, I kid you not, on the FDA. And that was years ago, shortly after vaping came to the United States. And we had some products, a bunch of different businesses had products ordered from China. And the FDA had intercepted those products at customs, when it came into customs, and they seized them. And to this day, we have never gotten those products. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of products that none of us have ever even seen because they were seized by the FDA. And that prompted us to organize and actually put a restraining order on the FDA. If you go look it up, it's there. My name's on that order. And we actually blocked the FDA from being able to seize any more products that were coming in because it wasn't illegal. Right? You can't just take people's stuff. And that's exactly what they were doing. So, again, it's not my first rodeo. This battle's been going on ever since I've been involved. It's just right now it's the worst of the battle right now. I can tell you that. This is far worse than it has ever been. Far worse. Anyway, let me have a sip here and we'll run through the headlines. Okay, and I hate it when I can't see all of the headline. This was from last night. 2 rockets strike Baghdad's green zone. Sirens sound off near U.S. Embassy. Maduro to depart for Russia. Plans meeting with Putin. West preaches rules, human rights, and liberalism, but fails to practice them. Very true. E-cigarette maker facing several federal and state investigations into its marketing. Yeah, and by the way, that's the Juul is the one that's owned by the Popular Cigarette Company. Okay, they have been allegedly marketing directly to teenagers, right? But we're all taking the fall for it. And guess who benefits if vaping is banned? The same ones that benefit from selling that product right in front of you. So they're happy as a lark. If they can get vaping banned, then they're back in business, literally. Literally. Big tobacco. They will use any method necessary to kill their competition. Let's see. Another highly likely. UK, France, and Germany blame Iran for Saudi oil attack without evidence or investigation. No other remedy than to terminate Orlando officer fired after arresting pair of 6-year-olds at school. Iran foreign ministry spokesman rejects UK's blame for oil field attacks, slams British war crimes in Yemen. A 6.3 magnitude quake hits off of Puerto Rico's coast. Again, this is last night. And now we're from the news this morning. Russian foreign ministry summons U.S. envoy over visa denial to Russia's UN delegation. U.S. Embassy declines to comment on denial of visas to Russian UN delegates. UK flag tanker Stena Imperial leaves Iranian port. A Haitian senator shoots photographer in the face amid political chaos in Port-au-Prince. Kind of crazy, huh? Is Saudi Aramco lying about its damaged oil infrastructure? ? Thanks, close friends. Pompeo hails European allies for pinning blame on Tehran for Saudi oil attacks. Hang on, let me take a peek over here at Mail. Okay. Boeing wants to pay families of MAX 737 crash victims $144,500 each. Facebook to buy startup that lets people control computers with their mind. What do you think of that? Mass hysteria. German lawmakers warn Greta Thunberg's climate activism, something like that, threatens rational debate. They are really pushing her, too, if you haven't noticed. The media is really pushing her hard. Let's see. Washington and Warsaw make pact to obstruct Russia's Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. Why are countries allowed to do this? Right? If they're not like doing anything criminal, breaking anything, any laws or anything like that, why are countries allowed to cause problems, to cause economic woes for other countries? I mean, I would think that was an act of war. I would certainly think so. I think it's insane. Playing with PC fire, ? France seeks to desegregate children's toys and battle against gender stereotypes. This is crazy. And we just, what was it, yesterday that I read the headline? What was it, in the UK? That the schools are actually teaching children how to pleasure themselves? Come on, folks. We're the only ones that can fix this. Ain't nobody going to fix this for us, okay? We are the ones that have to fix this. We are the ones that have to go to our state capitals, go to our nation's capitals, and say enough is enough, get out. And that's the only way it's going to fix it. Your vote's not going to do it. Your petitions, your phone calls, it's not going to do it, folks. That's what they want you to do. As long as they can keep you calling and filling out petitions and all this type of crap, voting, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Plain and simple. You're just playing their game. And they'll continue on doing whatever it is that their agenda is. Been happening for a long time. Still is, right here in the United States. It doesn't matter whether it was Obama, it doesn't matter now that it's Trump, Bush Jr., Clinton, Bush Sr. That agenda is still being played out, the very same one. It's a fact. It's a fact. Go by actions, not words or personalities. Go by actions. Look at what is happening, not what's being told. Not what's being promised, but what is happening. This is insanity too. Beyond parody. Call for UK to ban pointed kitchen knives ridiculed online. Well, I guess so. Right? So you banned guns. Right? Still didn't stop that problem. Next thing you know, you have tons of knife attacks. Right? That's the new fad, right? Go shank somebody. Now they want to ban pointy knives. What's next? Pointy sticks? Right? What's the next thing? You can't be caught with a sharpened pencil if you're walking down the street. It's ridiculous. How about we stop taking our boots off the necks of the people? That's a good step. How about we encourage people to stop being so divisive with one another? Another good step. If we lighten the stresses on the average everyday American, you will see these knife attacks, mass shooting events, you will see all of these things decline. Because most all of these have one thing in common. And that's those people absolutely lost it. They had multiple things stressing them out, and they absolutely lost it. How about we lighten up on people? Both as a society and as a government. Lighten up on people. The only way you're going to stop it. There ain't no amount of things that you can ban to stop people from having that line that they mentally cross when they're under too much stress? What are you going to do? Ban that? Put up no going postal signs all over? What are you going to do? Got to deal with the root of the problem. Volkswagen bosses charged in Germany over diesel emissions scandal. That scandal and the aftermath has been going on for quite some time. New twist on robotics. Boston Dynamics showcases Atlas agility with gymnastics routine. And it was. That big old robot was doing gymnastics. Absolutely crazy. It's scary to me. It's scary to me. Because, you know, they're getting the physical attributes of these robots right there wherever they need them. And the computer part of things, well, hell, that's further advanced than they even need at this point. This ain't good. I don't want RoboCop walking around. I don't know about you, but I certainly don't want RoboCop walking around. Not a good plan. Let's see. Immense power. Trump blasts social media companies over censorship in UNGA speech as U.S. lawmakers push for more control. Gotta love it, right? Throwing stones in a glass house. Trump criticizes the world, but his words are best applied to the U.S. Yeah, I know. I watched a little bit of that earlier, and I would have to agree. Totally. Baker declares public health emergency, orders 4-month ban on all vaping products. We covered that. FBI agents seen carrying boxes of evidence from Illinois Capitol. Illinois. All options, including military, on the table after probe into... I hate when it doesn't say it all. All options, including military, on the table after probe into Aramco attack completed, says Saudi foreign minister. So, of course, it was Iran. Let's see. Pakistan PM Khan says Trump asked him to mediate with Iran. And finally here, the latest source says Pelosi to pursue Trump impeachment. And I mentioned that a little bit ago. So anyway, that is the headlines. Let me go ahead and close up the monologue and we'll go from there. Wow. I'm telling you. Alrighty. For those here for the live show, stick around. Don't go anywhere. Don't do anything. We'll be live until 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. For those here for the monologue, or if you're watching the recording later on, thank you very much. As always, God bless you. We love you, and be one with your spirit. Okay, I got a couple of emails here that's probably got some content. That's me going live again. Okay, this one was posted on YouTube. Let me go ahead and play it. This is Survival Prepping for Normal People. And he's got a video he put out titled Mission Accomplished, 387 total meals served today. That's awesome.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Survival Prepping for Normal People. We're fixing the lunches today. I got Tommy outside. We're going to be talking to him later. He's one of the viewers on Patreon and YouTube. He drove about an hour and a half down here. He's volunteering, helping us hand out lunch. We did spaghetti today because it's comfort food, number one. You can make a lot of it and feed a lot of people. So far we've done about 200 meals. This is Mrs. Normal dishing up some right now, and I'll be handing those out. And then in a little bit we'll be talking to Tommy. He's actually gone up to Oklahoma, and he's helped Bear fix a lady's house on a mission up there from the Bear Independent channel. So we're going to be talking about a few things. So just keeping you guys up to date on what's going on. Like I said, we've done about 200 meals so far. We've got enough stuff to do 100 more here, and then we're going to be going to another community just down the road that got hit pretty hard during the storm, and we'll be helping them out. So again, I want to thank all of y'all for everything you've done. All these number 10 cans are empty. We had about 20 of the green beans and 20 corn. This morning we made 100 pounds of spaghetti. We're down to about 40 pounds right now. We had 2 of these big containers of spaghetti sauce, about 300 of these rolls, and it's starting to wind down, but we've given out, like I said, about 200 meals so far, and another 100 to go here at this location, then we'll be setting up again. And as you can see, the vehicles are lining up. We're here at the parking lot of the local Tractor Supply. They were kind enough to help out and let us park here and do the serving. Oh, looks like the generator's running out of gas. Let me go check on that. Hey everybody, we're back. Tommy came down, helped us out. He's actually gone up and helped Bear from Bear Independent on some projects, so he likes to volunteer, and that's a good thing. We served just over 300 meals so far. I wanted to do some more footage of the people in line and stuff, but you know, people are kind of going through a hard time right now, so a lot of them really didn't want to be on camera. But just wanted to say thank you guys for everything you've done, making it possible for my wife, my son, myself, and Tommy came down, making it possible for us to help people. A lot of people lost a lot, and we don't have a whole lot, but we do have a food truck, so we were able to feed quite a few people. And we've got one more run we're going to do, but we wanted to thank you guys for all your help and making it possible. We wanted to thank you for being here in the tribe. Can't say thank you enough. You guys are amazing, and we did the cooking, but we couldn't have done it without you guys, so really appreciate that. Tommy's a little bit camera shy, so probably all you're going to get is a wave out of him, but I was glad he came down and helped out. It really helped us a lot. So hope you guys, I don't know, it's hard even for me to put into words how much it means. Like I said, we helped a lot of people that you know, you go through stages as a prepper where it kind of starts out as a self-centered thing. You want to make sure that you're okay and that your family's okay, and then once you get prepped to a certain level, then you go through this natural evolution where you want to put a little more aside for family and friends, people that might show up in an emergency situation, people you can help. And then once you get to that level, something that I learned from Bear over there at Bear Independent is once you are as good as you think you need to be, and you're able to help family and friends, your circle of people, if you can take that next step and you're able to reach out and help others, there's a lot of good people out there that just don't know what they don't know. And me and Tommy were talking about that. And if you can reach out and help people in your community, and then when a major emergency comes or a major disaster comes, they're going to remember that. And so they'll be a lot more prone to taking your advice. And people are going to be looking for leaders in serious emergency situations. So the best way to be a leader is to get out there and do things and help people in any which way you can. And so I thank all of you guys for your support and your help, and I appreciate you being here. And I wanted to give you this update. It went great today. Like I said, we served over 300 meals, close to 400. It didn't seem like that, but as they just kept coming, it was constant. It goes fast. So like I said, I don't normally get choked up and be at a loss for words making videos, but you guys made a big difference, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And I wanted to thank you, and I wanted to ask you, what have you done today to get ready?
Preparing to raise hell. That's what I'm doing to get ready. Preparing to raise hell. All right, got one from the Prepared Mind here, titled An SHTF Costume Party. Whatever that means.
Good morning and welcome back to the Prepared Mind Network here on Patreon. Yes, I'm going for the middle-aged, white, patriarchal nerd look. Holy cow. The topic I'm going to discuss is political, societal, psychological. It has elements of social engineering involved in it. It portends a dangerous future when shit hits the fan for people like you and me. People who look the part. This is an incredible news story that I want to start out with as I share my opinions with you. And once again, I am not always right. And I do want to delve into topics that are controversial. Why? Because they make us think. You are going to enjoy this video all the way to the end, I guarantee it. And if not, you get your money back. All the money you shoved in the front of your computer to watch this video will be refunded as it rolls out the back of your computer, right? This world we have is becoming devoid of logic and thinking because people have a fear to question the norm, the new norm. People have a fear to question social standards, the new social standards. People believe that in some way or some fashion, they're going to be rewarded for being cowards. This is incredible. And I'm going to start by doing something I never ever thought I would do. Oh, don't worry. There's another side to this. There's another side. I'm going to start this video by defending Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, liberal extraordinaire. And you're thinking, John, why would you do that? Well, I've got to tell you, it is because of what was done to Mr. Trudeau. It's the principle is what matters. And I don't care what party you're with. I don't care about race or gender or religion or any of that crap. Age, it doesn't matter when principles are violated. So here's the story. Shocking yearbook photo shows Justin Trudeau wearing brown face. It used to be called blackface, but I guess that is not popular anymore. Unless I guess the color's black. I guess if you use brown, you call it brown. If you call it black, use it black. Fine, whatever, right? But the term used to just be called blackface. Anything you do to color yourself differently, I guess we need to be more specific. Because, and we'll get to this in a bit, some people use colors that are much, much lighter than their own. So anyways, Justin Trudeau was wearing brown face. This is interesting. Back in 2001, almost 2 decades ago, right? Trudeau attended, right, an Arabian Nights theme party, and he was dressed as an Arab, right? And this is now a scandal. It is a massive scandal. Incredible. The PM, the Prime Minister, has issued an apology, right, for dressing in a costume. Once again, what is going on in our world? And there is, trust me, there is a major shit it's the fan implication to this. The problems with our country are not one-dimensional. They're not monochromatic. They come in many shades of stupidity, right? So, CNN's Don Lemon bashes Trump while defending Trudeau after the brown face controversy. You're going to love this. Don Lemon, racist extraordinaire. And I think he is a racist. I think he's anti-white. From what I've listened to from the man, he seems to be anti-white. And we'll get into that some more as well. Here's Trudeau's apology. Quote, "I shouldn't have done that. I should have known better, but I didn't, and I'm really sorry. I take responsibility for my decision to do that. I shouldn't have done that. I should have known better. It was something that I didn't think was racist at the time, but now recognize that it was something racist to do, and I'm deeply sorry. Now, Lemon's quote here was, wow, a leader apologizing. It seems odd, doesn't it? Because we have one who doesn't. This is the major distinction to draw in this story. Thank you, Mr. Lemon, you knucklehead. Why should someone apologize for doing something that isn't wrong? It's not wrong to wear a costume. Period. I want to bring up an example. If it's wrong to dress as another race, why is it wrong? Right? Dressing in a costume is not racist. Dressing as another race to profit or impersonate another race, I don't think is racist. It's called exploitation. But it's not racist. Racist means you are portraying yourself as superior or portraying someone else as inferior, right? And that you think that you should own them or kill them or something, right? That wants to... Anyways, how can you define racism in a world where everything is racist? It can't be done anymore. It used to be something that we could try and grasp intellectually. The concept of racism. A belief that you're better than someone else based on your racial heritage. Not skin color, not type of hair, not how blue or brown your eyes are. Right? Now it's all about skin color. Race used to be about your race. Now it's about color. Color is not race. There's brown people on islands. There's brown people on the mainland. There's brown people all around the world. This topic, though, is frustrating to so many people because everyone has an opinion now, and it's being directed by idiots like Don Lemon and others in the media. It's being pushed, this agenda, that you cannot comment on race unless you're a particular race. Or if you're a certain race, you're not allowed to discuss it because you don't understand racism. This is going to drive us into shit hitting the fan. This is going to cause social collapse. It's going to cause social anarchy. It's going to cause social unrest, chaos, mayhem, because they keep pushing this agenda. 20 years ago, right, 20 years ago, nobody would have thought anything wrong. I'm defending Justin Trudeau because 20 years ago, how could he know the world would be this fucking insane by now? I am passionate about this because I'm passionate about this, right? This isn't anger. It's ridiculous, but it is something to speak with passion about, right? Democrats are entitled, petulant, childlike minds. They have an agenda and they want it, and they'll use whatever tool they can use. A child, a petulant child. If it wants a candy bar and can't get it, it will do everything it can. It will plead. It will beg. It will hold its breath. It'll start crying. It'll throw itself on the ground in a fit. That's a petulant child. And once it gets its way, that is, once a petulant child convinces its parent to give it something that it wants, it will continue to use that technique indefinitely. That is what has happened with the Don Lemons of the world, with any media, name it. Name it. Because I don't know if it is a girl or a boy anymore. Name it. Right? Anderson Cooper, Wolf Blitzer. Name your media person that isn't a petulant child. Watch The View. They're all petulant. Everyone wants to act like a child and not use their brain. They're insolent. They're whiners. And they use that technique because they've convinced everyone that if they whine loud enough about their view of racism, that we'll adopt their view and give them what they want. I absolutely refuse. Even in the case of Justin Trudeau. But while on the one hand I laugh and say, take your medicine, motherfucker, On the other hand, I'll defend the man. You dressed in a costume. I want to bring up the movie White Chicks. Funny movie. It's two black guys who paint themselves white and even change their gender. They go from guys to girls. They completely appropriate the white culture and try blending in. It's a hilarious movie called White Chicks. Is that racist? No. It's a costume, and they're using it for profit, right? Or for gain, to do their job, whatever you want to call it, right? It's for gain. They're impersonating, not in a costume, at a costume party, but they're impersonating for other purposes. And it's not just for a few hours, it's for days and days in the movie. And it's still not racism. It's not racism because they're impersonating white people. It's racism. It's not racism because it's not racism. It was exploitive, right? They exploited their new persona. In a way, it's interesting that they identified and then put on a costume to support it, right? Another great example of this is back in the 1980s when Eddie Murphy was on Saturday Night Live. He did this funny skit where as a black man, he's like, I think things are different for white people. I need to understand the white race. And they used makeup to turn Eddie Murphy into a white man, a white businessman. And it was great. It was hilarious. He goes to a bank and they hand him free money. He goes to a store and they give him free stuff. He gets on a bus, and when the one black guy on it leaves, they start serving drinks and having a party because it's nothing but white people. Hilarious. But not racist, it's hilarious. Now, to exploit someone else's race for the purposes of humor or to have a good time is one thing. To exploit a race, to put another race down, to denigrate, right? I can go to another piece of media, and it was actually exploited. They exploited cavemen, right? Geico. So easy a caveman could do it, right? And they had just a great time with this marketing campaign, very successful. Tried spinning it off into a television show even. But the caveman, right, was mad that they were being exploited by Geico, right? Made fun of, put down. Is that racist? Well, sure, right? Right, but big deal. What is going on is the left, are trying to destroy who you are. And I'm not just saying they're trying to destroy you white, middle-aged, male, nerd glass-wearing guys. They're trying to destroy everything by taking intelligence out of the equation. By taking intelligence out, logic, reason, thinking. What they're doing is they're taking that part of the mind out of the equation. It'll be that much more easy to control. Whether you're white or black or brown or yellow or red or any other color. Now, it's fascinating to me how everyone can talk about the white race, call it Satan, call it bad, call it evil. But if I, as a white man, even mention any of the other colors that have been associated with other races, yellow for Asians, red for North American Native, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that we can't even talk anymore. It's absolutely phenomenally ridiculous that you can't dress in a fucking costume. Can a black person dress as a white person? Sure, why not? Can they color their skin like a white person? Sure, why not? Can they straighten their hair? Well, yeah, it's just a style. It's just hair. It's just color. It's just hair. It's an attitude. If you're not hurting somebody, if you're not holding them down, right, it's not racist. In fact, dressing and doing the Arabian Nights theme party is actually a form of what? Well, it's impersonation in a way. Yeah. But it's celebrating that great story. It's celebrating that there are other people and other cultures and other times. Can you have a caveman party where everyone dresses like the Flintstones? Is that not funny, entertaining, celebrating, some piece of Americana or culture or ancient history? And yeah, having some fun doing it. Big deal. Toga party, of course. Right? A political party where everyone wears masks of politicians. Tricky Dick. Right? Someone could say that wearing a JFK mask would be in poor taste. Because which mask would you wear? George Washington. Is that racist? But if you wear a Barack Obama, is that racist? If you wear a Trump, is that racist? Because now you're dressing like a racist. Right? I've got one more story. This conservative professor just rolled out a new class that will blow liberals' minds. Quote, what does the evidence say about the claims of the Black Lives Matter movement? Is the justice system really systematically racist? Is there really a rape epidemic on our college campuses? What was that you were saying about white privilege? And what was that you were saying about patriarchal oppression? These are just some of the study prompts for a new class to be offered at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, called, quote, Issues in Criminal Justice, end quote. These aren't taught by a left-leaning scholar. They're taught by a Christian conservative scholar, I believe. And his name, I can't find his name. We'll have it here in a moment. Is his name really that important? Where is it? Professor Mike Adams, criminology professor. He is a well-known and outspoken Christian conservative. Yeah, I guess so. We're going to get to the important part of what he's doing. He says, quote, if this causes you to encounter, talking about his course, right? He points out that the course won't just tackle and critique subjects sacrosanct to the left-wing scholars, but also treat students like adults. You see, that's the problem, is everyone's treating these kids like kids and then capitulating to their petulant demands. And their petulant demands have been created and fostered by spoiling them and allowing them to be insolent while giving them indoctrinated ideas that they can regurgitate and demand to control the narrative. It is so bad now that even, yes, the other great liberal, Michael Bloomberg, is upset with the way college students are acting. Right? Because they know better, because they're so smart, because no one's ever told them no, because no one has ever treated them like an adult. And that is what I believe is at the core of the problem here. He freely admits in the syllabus his class is no safe space. And safe space means a place where students can go where they won't be challenged or insulted or frightened by other people's words. Fuck. Okay. If this causes you to encounter viewpoints that bother you or make you feel uncomfortable, that is good, the syllabus states. There will be no safe space into which you can retreat. Instead, you will be required to take off your intellectual training wheels. Something that should have happened for the first time in grade school rather than college. He makes the point well. He says, right, he believes left-leaning students are among those who need the course the most, as it is important to hear the other side of the argument in order to defend one's own positions. In other words, in order to have a discussion, a debate, an argument, I don't mean a fight kind of argument, but an argument. You're going to argue your case, kind of like a courtroom. You have to hear the other side's position. You have to understand it to the best of your ability so that you can give it thought. Not weigh it against an ideology and disregard it. Not shout it down. And trust me, I've listened to the left's arguments, all of them, from Karl Marx all the way to Don Lemon. I've listened to it. I've considered it. As a 6th grade student, I considered communism and discovered mentally, through my own faculties as a 6th grader, that it was an impossibility based on history and what it was they were asking the human condition to accept. As a 6th grader, I understood that. I am not, who do we want to put in this? I am not the most intelligent person on the planet. I'm just a regular guy, I think. And I got it. But still, I continue to listen to them. But now I'm told that if I listen to them, I can't understand. Because the skin color, my age, my gender, my belief system prohibits me from understanding them. And therefore, I am less than them. I am now the subject of their racism and their prejudice. It's incredible. Okay. Adams went on to say, there is a legitimate question as to whether all my colleagues are just incompetent, and he's talking about other professors, or whether it's just that they have a moral compass that points to them, meaning a bunch of sacrosanct asswipes. That's my translation. Quote, he says, I'm really trying to figure out if they're intellectually herniated, fucking brilliant, or just morally herniated. But in all likelihood, it's improper to attribute it to one or the other. It's got to be a combination because the situation has gotten so bad. I just have to teach a course like this one. Right? He's made national headlines in the past because he is conservative, because he's Christian. He writes, I'm worried, or says, I'm worried if I don't cause controversy. Right? He says, I'm worried if I don't cause controversy. He says, I'm extremely worried about that. A lack of controversy on college campuses is a sign of sickness and intellectual atrophy. And he couldn't be more right. By silencing us, me, you, anyone, I don't care who you are, age, none of those things. Age, religion, gender, race, appearance. We can't talk about it without offending somebody. We can't discuss it because it upsets somebody. Because looking at me, just looking at a guy like me is so upsetting that one of these leftists, whether they're black or white or some other color, just looking at me triggers them, much less hearing the words I say. That is, I disagree with them and I think they're wrong, based on an intellectual study, understanding, examination, thought, and conclusion. What is wrong with these people? Right? And what is this causing? Now, here's where we get back to shit hitting the fan. This is not being done in an academic vacuum. It's not this little sphere of college. A college used to be its own little sphere where you would go to think and learn, and then you would open up to the world, and you'd go out and take those ideas you had and see how they work in the world. And if they work, fine, things become better. And if they don't, well, then you put those ideas away, and you use ideas that do work. That was the old vacuum, but it's not that kind of a vacuum anymore. Because they've taken these ideas and they've gone into the world and forced everyone to accept them. And then to call you the most vile names. And use social pressure, social media, entertainment media, news media, political media, and even legal media to jam this down our throats. This thing called political correctness, which is what the popular socialists say it is. And what gets me is the absolute cowardice of the rest of the population. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're black or white or some other color. You're a coward if you accept what they say and do not stand up for yourself. I'm not saying you need to get out and stand on a street corner or on some steps at a courthouse or stand up in front of your work and get fired, but stand up for yourself. When you're given an opportunity in a conversation and someone goes, that's racist for Trudeau to wear brown face and dress for an Arabian Nights party, you should be able to say, that is not racist. It's a costume. You don't have to yell or cuss or scream or get angry. You don't have to invoke any other thoughts or concepts, but just disagree. I disagree with you. I believe it's just a costume. And even though I'm an immensely white guy, I've even been accused of being an albino who wears colored contacts. I don't care. Politically, I don't care if he dresses that way. He could dress like me. He could dress like anyone. He could dress like a fucking alien. And it doesn't matter. You should be able to do that. If you can't do that, then maybe you're not a coward. Maybe you have just been cowed. That is, you have been bitch slapped mentally so hard, so often, so many times that you're afraid to be a human being and to use your own intellect. But what this is doing is it has pushed our social structure so far one way that now it's okay for any group of any color, of any gender, of any age, of any race, of any country of national origin, not even having to do with race, just you came from another country, anyone at any time can tell you you're a racist based on any comment you make and marginalize you and then say, and this is where we go, it's okay to hurt you. See, we've gone from identifying people politically and then bullying them. Remember when bullying was bad? It's not okay to bully women, other races, other ages, other religions, other genders. Did I leave anyone out? It's not okay to bully. But we've watched over the years that has become more accepted, and now it's even lauded. It is rewarded if you bully whites, if you bully the white race, if you bully white men, if you attack them for it and discount anything they say and then label them, it's okay. Now we've gone one step further, and we've been doing this. We've been watching it as a social body. We've been watching violence creep in. We've heard it from Maxine Waters. We've heard it from the National Organization of Women. We've heard it from extreme leftists and socialists. It's okay to call the President of the United States a racist for doing his legitimate constitutional job that the Supreme Court has now ruled is legitimate and constitutional. That is protecting the border. His job is actually sacrosanct in the world of politics because that is what he's been charged with. Not charged with the crime of racism, charged with a duty to perform. But it's okay to call the president a racist? And on the street, at a rally, at a time when everyone can leave the rally and go to the nearby restaurant or public bathroom and participate in whatever service it is that they offer, get food, there is no difficulty in getting a drink of water, getting some clean clothes, finding a home. There's no difficulty in that. But if you go to these rallies, if you speak a certain word, or if you look a certain way, if you wear a symbol, not just a red, white, and blue flag, but any flag that has, or any patch, or any decal, or any likeness that even consequently or just barely looks like the American flag, you are a racist. You're not a patriot now, you're a racist. It is incredible. It's incredible that the American flag, in all of its forms, no matter how transparently American flag or how opaque and distant a likeness, you are a racist. And you can be beaten for that. When shit hits the fan, when things get bad, and I don't mean chaos in the streets, I mean when Trump wins the next election. I'm saying when the economy goes bad and there is massive layoffs, I'm saying, right, if we have an interruption in power, I'm saying if there are food shortages or massive rates of inflation relative to the cost of food, in other words, life becomes more difficult. It's not chaos. It's not shit hitting the fan. How much more will these people come out and go from where once it was just politically incorrect to where they started labeling and identifying people, to where you are now prejudicially treated. And now it's okay to slander and abuse you and then physically assault you. When times get tougher, right, when the difficulty level goes up, how are these people going to behave? Right? Because we, not me, for God's sake, not you, but for all of those people out there who've capitulated to petulant children and morons who have allowed this leftist takeover and not stood up against it. And hand it to the left. They put themselves in marvelous positions to control things. Education and the media, as well as politics. They did it on purpose. They know what they're doing. They're following the Marxist program. They're following this system set up and designed to try and take over the country. And they've done marvelously well at it. Congratulations, you fucks. But look at what they're doing and look at what the consequences will be. They are now in a position where they feel justified in attacking us personally, professionally, socially, and physically. You need to be prepared when shit hits the fan, or even gets close, because they are ramping up their efforts. And I love it. I love it that this conservative professor has this course that says this is not a safe space, because when you leave college, you have to deal with real life. There is no entitlements. When you go to a corporation, it needs to be profitable. And even that has been turned on its head. Companies that make $1 billion, but they lose $2 billion doing it, and they stay in business because investors are throwing money at them. The world has been turned on its head. Now, that's true for some businesses that have, IPOs and they've been released onto Wall Street. But for companies that are privately funded and have to exist off their own income, their own profits, yeah. You want to bring an idiotic idea in there, you're going to ruin the business. And I got to tell you, having come from the executive land of corporate world, I spent over 10 years there. If you have a bad idea and customers don't like it, you have to fix it. If you start losing money, you're going to go out of business. You need to be realistic. And I left that company because it was becoming unrealistic. I was handed my hat, shown the door, and asked if I wanted to be booted out or to graciously walk out. I graciously walked out. But I can tell you that all businesses are being pushed by this leftist crap. They're being pushed to where anything you say is racist or sexist or homophobic, and that they can talk about their homophobic ideas. I'm sorry, they're pro-homo. No. Pro-bi? What the hell do we even call it anymore? Pro-gay? Their pro-gay stuff can come into the workplace, and you have to deal with it and accept it. But to anything they say is good is called phobic, bad, hate. Right? And I can give an example. A male human being walked into the women's restroom. It's a public restroom that was used by both employees and customers. And this guy, dressed as a girl, but not very well, not convincing at all, wanted to stand in the ladies' restroom for an extended period of time and just watch women go in and out. He was escorted off the premises by security, I believe, or asked to leave, observed by surveillance, because we didn't want to allow that at the time. Now, if you were to take somebody and say, look, we don't care what gender you say you are, you're obviously a man, get out of the woman's restroom. Is that grounds for a lawsuit? Once again, you're bad, you're wrong. You have to accept them because they're petulant children that'll throw a fit, scream and yell for daddy courtroom, and then sue you. And then, hey, they can violently react. They can picket your business. They can protest. They can scare your customers away. Right? They can verbally assault you. They can physically assault you for working at a place that doesn't accept their version of reality because you've challenged them in a way that they have no answer for. But they believe they're right because they've been told they're right. They've been instructed on how right and smart they are. And they've never been told no. This is the world we live in as preppers. This is the world we live in today. And it's not, like I said, an isolated thing. We have the economy with problems in it. The economy's bad. Politics is scary for many reasons, including this very topic. Right? World trade. Our infrastructure is bad. Our economy is failing. Not just the stock market, but the real economy. The banking institutions are failing. We've seen it all week. Depending on when you watch this video, right? I don't know if it's going to continue to have the banking overnight liquidity issues. That's a big deal right now. You and I need to understand, and I'm sure we do, that racism isn't what they say it is. But what they say racism is going to contribute to the problems we have in Shit It's the Fan, because it's evident now that it's contributed to the problems we have already. If the problems they've created are already in place, how much worse will they be when shit hits the fan? And I can't tell you what to do about it, but I can tell you it's going to be a problem. When someone looks at you and says you're a white prepper, it's your racism that has caused you to do that, and it's your racism that's keeping you safe and warm and dry and protected and well fed, nourished, medicated, whatever. And you're going to be hated for it. And I pity people that are in heavy duty Democrat socialist areas. You're going to have your fucking hands full. You know, I'm sorry about that. It fucking sucks. That's why a lot of people will bug out, because they know the area they're in will not be safe. And I have to stop, and I know this video is going long, but this is an amazing world that we live in, is it not? To believe that 20 years ago we would be where we're at today is just astounding to me. 30 years ago, it is beyond a comic, horrifying tragedy. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Get a plan together. And you're already doing the work, understanding what's going on. Understanding. In a telephone interview with the College Fix, Professor Adams said he hopes Democrats and feminists take his course, not just conservatives. We can hope that they'll start to expose themselves to reality. But I don't think they will. I think his course will be taken by conservatives. I don't think it'll be taken by the left, because the left has an agenda they're pushing. It is an incredible world we live in, where intelligence has been abandoned in place of an ideology that can't be supported by reality. That is why we're preppers. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed in getting prepared and understanding what's going on. And Semper Fi, always faithful. Faithful to your core beliefs that you know are correct. They're borne out both by history and tradition, as well as rational and intellectual thought. Because that will be the order of the day that succeeds when shit hits the fan. Not infantile whining and petulant crying and insolent behavior. That won't get people anything when shit hits the fan. It'll get them nothing but trouble. That's what it'll buy them. That's what it'll purchase them. But it's going to be a crazy time, and it's coming faster and faster.
Alrighty. Wow. I'm telling you. Let me go ahead and do this one from Deep South Homestead. It's one of his porch times here, and it's titled "Being Thankful is How to Be Blessed."
Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. We're sitting back out here today, guys. We are shelling butter peas. Wanda and I picked 6 gallons of them things this morning, and that was a blessing. And now comes the work of sitting here hand shelling all these things, which we don't mind that because actually today we have a good breeze blowing. You might can see it in the trees behind me there. We're thankful for that. We're thankful that we have our butter peas. Being in the midst of the drought situation that we're in here, it makes us thankful to have anything right now. We're not going to be planting anything anytime soon, just simply because it's just dust here. There's no moisture anywhere. We're thankful to have what we have. And I want to talk today about being thankful. Wanda and I went to town the other day, and I think I mentioned this on one of our other videos. Might have been our live stream. We walked in the back door of Walmart because a lot of times we go in through the plant section just to look and see what they have. I was wanting to get Wanda some ferns, but evidently there was a wedding or something, and somebody came in and bought every fern that was in there. So we wasn't able to get the ferns that we wanted for her birthday. So I figured we'll get them at another date. But while we were in there, when you go in the back door through the plant section into Walmart there, as soon as the door is open for us to go into the store, now guys, this was September when we went to town was September the 21st, which was her birthday. I was totally shocked. Everything in Walmart was Christmas. The whole back section of that store, they already had all the trees up. They already had all the decorations out. It just blew me away. And it's the first day of fall. The autumn equinox, the first day of fall. And I went in and I saw that and I looked at Wanda and I said, did I miss something? Halloween hasn't happened. Thanksgiving hasn't happened. And they already have Christmas stuff everywhere. The whole parking lot is full of containers outside for people to start doing layaways. Guys, they totally had nothing to do with Thanksgiving. Nothing. They had decorations out for fall season. Nothing about Thanksgiving. And it come across me, wow, our nation has now forgot even the one holiday that we had set aside to be thankful for everything in our nation, and we have forgotten it. And as I walked through the store, I found a whole section in the store devoted to Halloween. I mean, there was like 4 aisles devoted to Halloween. And I was looking for something to do with Thanksgiving. I found 1/2 of an aisle, maybe, I think the section I kind of stepped it off was about 12 foot long, and 3 shelves for fall decorations. And they said for the fall holidays. No mention of Thanksgiving whatsoever. And it really hit home with me at that point. This is where we're at as a nation. We have completely left thankfulness out of everything. And it brought back to remembrance in the Bible where it talked about in the last days that men would be lovers of pleasure rather than being lovers of God. I think there's a list of like some 21 things in those verses there. But then it talks about that people would be unthankful, unholy, all these things it mentions. Guys, we're there. We have literally decided to not be thankful anymore. And that's just not who we are as people here at Deep South Homestead. We try to be as thankful for everything that we can. And it's not, I mean, we have a lot of problems here. Don't get me wrong. We're in the midst of a drought, and we know we've got people saying, oh, there's no drought there. I just pulled up all this data and looked at it from your area down there, and there ain't no mention of drought. Well, you know what? 3 miles from us, they've got plenty of rain. But right here where we live at, on our hill, it hasn't rained in 4 weeks, and it looks like it's fixing to be 5, because I looked at the 10-day forecast, and they don't even have a chance of rain for 10 more days. I could spin this camera around right now and show you my sugar cane standing right here. It's mostly brown. There's just a little bit of green right in the very top of it. It's because there is no water. There's no moisture. And as much stuff as Wanda and I have, it would be impossible for us to try to water everything we have. We went ahead here the other day and we killed 2 of our pigs because they were in the swamp bottom down in here. And they were keeping it clean because there was a live stream. I've lived here 30 years this year. There's a stream that's been running down there for 30 years. It's never dried up. It's dry now. There's no water in it anywhere. I mean, used to you couldn't hardly walk out in there without bogging up knee deep. Now I can drive a tractor out there. That's how bad it is here. But even in the midst of all that, we still have to be thankful for everything that we have here. We have to be thankful that there is no water. Because at some point we will eventually get rain, I'm sure. Now, what's bothering us is we're losing our fruit trees. These are fruit trees that we have several years growth into. That's not just something that we can put back right away. But guys, even with that, we still have to be thankful. We've canned a good bit of stuff this year. Now, not the quantity that we normally would have, but even with that, we have to be thankful. Because, guys, the bottom line is this: none of us are promised tomorrow. We're only promised right now. And we're really not even promised that. All we have is right now. We don't take what happened yesterday and add it to today. Because today will have evil sufficient enough for itself, the Bible says. So, there's no reason for me to drag what happened yesterday into today's life. When I wake up in the morning, I'm thankful that I woke up. I put my shoes on in the morning and I pray that I take them off that night. because I'm not promised anything. The way to true happiness through God is literal to be thankful for everything. Now, we show a lot of things here at Deep South Homestead on YouTube that are challenges that we have here. It's not because we're not thankful. It's because on our channel we show the good with the bad. And so many of y'all have sent us messages and pictures saying, Danny, I'm so glad that you're showing us some of your failures there at Deep South Homestead, some of your problems at Deep South Homestead, some of your gardening issues at Deep South Homestead, because our gardens have all failed this year and we weren't even going to plant anymore because we said it's just, we can't do this. But when we see someone like y'all having problems, it gives us hope that it's not just us. And then we have people who send us videos and tell us, wow, I've had the best garden I've ever had. We've had perfect weather. We've had the perfect amount of rain. We have low bug problems. Our gardens are doing wonderful this year. And guys, that's the way it will be. That's called microclimates. There are good microclimates and there are bad microclimates. We're in a bad microclimate right now. 3 miles from us up the road, they're getting plenty of rain. But because of the hill that we live on here, the rain, a lot of times, there's a creek a quarter of a mile behind me, there's a creek a quarter of a mile in front of me. The rain will run those creeks a lot of times and never rain right here. That's because we live on a hill between two creeks. And then there are times when our weather here is just perfect. And 3 miles from us, they're struggling. It just depends on the year and how things are going. There's microclimates everywhere. So be thankful for what you have, because it could be worse. We could have absolutely nothing. And I'm looking at a lot of things going on around this country right now, and it looks a little bleak right now. I see Russia, China, India, all these places doing war games. And that brings a little bit of a concern to me, because I see these big communist allies doing war games. Well, when they're doing war games, that means something. They're planning something. And if you know anything about the end of days of an age spoken of in Scripture, you know that there's a lot of wars and rumors of wars in the end time. Guys, I really believe we're there. But in the midst of all of this, God still tells us to be thankful. Just like Israel when it went into captivity in Babylon. The people of Israel was asking God, what do we do? What do we do now that we're in captivity? Because they had not done what the Lord had told them to do with their land. And God told them, He said, build houses and plant gardens, because you're going to be here for a while. Probably not what they wanted to hear. But nevertheless, that was what was told to them. And they had to be thankful, because God allowed them to build houses, live in a foreign land, and be able to grow food while they were there. And even though they were in a foreign land and they were growing food, they were still blessed if they were thankful. Guys, that's where we're at today here in this country. There's a lot going on around us right now. It's not all good. In the midst of chaos, we're expected to be examples. We're expected to be that light that He speaks of. And as a result, if we sit back and we are not thankful, the ones that are supposed to be the light, how will those that don't have the light have hope? So it's up to us to be the ones to carry the torch and to be thankful and to let our light shine and to persevere. It's very, very easy to get discouraged. When you've been out here in the heat, busting your tail, doing the best that you can do to try to have something, and then something like happens here with us, there's no rain for 4 weeks, there's no rain in sight, we don't have the ability to water everything that we have here, and you just watch it sit there and burn up. You have fruit trees that you planted years ago, and they're doing so good and so beautiful, and you look out there and all the leaves are turning brown on them because they're dying because of a lack of moisture. You look at your hog pen like we did. We never had to water our pigs because they had a running stream through their pen. But when the water started drying up, we saw that, and we had to butcher both of them at one time. Because if not, we would have been toting water all the way down to that pig pen there. We're already having to water our cows because the water's done dried up where they were. We're having to water our pigs in the front because their running stream is dried up. So for us to run water for everything that we have out here would make our water bill be astronomical. So it's just not worth it at this time. We have to trust the Lord and be thankful and pray that He knows what's best for us. And guys, that's what we're doing here. We're sitting over here at our off-grid cabin today. We are enjoying the day. It's very breezy out here. Even though it's hot, it's still breezy, and that takes the edge off of it. We prayed for rain and asked for rain. We haven't gotten it. We prayed and asked for wind to cool the temperatures off. And the Lord has been good enough to give us wind. And for that, we are thankful for. Well, as y'all can see, Miss Wanda came in and she sat down with me. She's helping me shell these beans. I'm not sitting here doing this all by myself. She's been sitting over there on the steps while I video this.
And it was warm on the steps. I had dual purpose.
Now she has a dual purpose. The wind is not hitting on the steps over there. It's hitting right here. And we are thankful to have what we have here. We're not begrudging of anything. We're thankful that you guys take the time out every day that we put a video up to watch it. We thank you for your responses. Now we have those out there that I don't even know the correct word for them.
There is no word.
There is no word for some of these people. I guess they're armchair homesteaders. Would that be a good way to put it? They sit on the couch and think they know everything. They know everything about homesteading, and they're looking at all kind of data on computers and stuff like that, thinking that they know what it's like to actually get out here and bust it and do it. You know, we have tons of those people, but those comments usually get taken down because they're of no benefit whatsoever. They're ignorant. They're totally inaccurate.
Sort of kind of like the person that told us that our sweet potatoes in the fields were rotting in the fields because that was probably the sweet potatoes that we planted.
Yeah. That told us immediately that the person that made that comment had no clue about how to grow sweet potatoes, because sweet potatoes, you don't grow them from potatoes. Sweet potatoes are grown from slips that are grown from potatoes. So, yeah, when we see those things, you know, we kind of laugh, but at the same time, it's not that
we're not making
fun of them like that, because there are those out there that actually don't know.
And but when people make that type of comment, it's like they're getting on to us on how we think and what we do.
Yeah, telling us that we made a mistake, that we didn't do it right, when we know that we done it right. The reason ours is rotting, when we pull one of those potatoes up out of our soil, they feel just like they came out of an oven. I have no way of checking the temperature of them, but in my hand they feel like they're way over 100 degrees.
And if you slowly put if you put a sweet potato in the oven at 100 degrees and leave it for say 4 to 5 days, see if it's not reasonably cooked or mushy.
It would almost be cooked to the point where it would start becoming mushy, and I think that's a lot of what's happening because our soil here is just hot deep. Our cellar is 3 feet deep underground. The top of it is. And the temperature in our cellar ranges around 80 degrees this time of year, even though it's that deep underground, because the top of the ground heats down in there. And when you have air circulating from outside through a cellar that's in the triple digits with 90-something% humidity and a 75 to 80% dew point pulling through that cellar, so you have fresh air moving around in it at all times, the ground temperature cannot overcome that ambient temperature that you're bringing in from outside. So therefore the cellar this time of year usually runs around 80 degrees. And the same thing happens with our soil out here. When you have triple digits now, this is day number 94, I believe it is, since May the 20th, that we've had triple digit heat indexes here. And guys, when you do that day after day after day after day, the ground, and you don't get any rain to cool the ground off, then what you start facing is your ground temperature begins to heat deeper and deeper and deeper in the ground.
And we have had rain in the last 3 months, but not a significant enough amount of
Not
rain
enough
to
amount, not even an inch.
do any good
Yeah.
when we get it.
Yeah.
And in the spring we had too much rain.
Yeah, we had too much this past spring. It rained so hard it ran off. It didn't soak in. But even in the midst of all this, we try to be thankful for everything that goes on here. And we try to keep our channel as positive as we can.
And look at this, guys. These are beautiful. Our butter peas that he had me plant
Yeah.
are doing awesome. Even in this heat. These things are gorgeous, beautiful pink beans.
There's going to be a video, pretty sure going to be coming up in the near future, about what we've learned about this year as far as what will grow in this kind of heat and this kind of drought. What produces, what doesn't produce for us, what we done
That worked.
and
And what we done that didn't.
what we done that didn't work. So we're going to be working on those videos in the future, because we have so many of y'all who make comments and saying, I don't know what we've done wrong. Well, it might not be that you've done anything wrong, because we're quickly learning that the way that our forefathers gardened, going into this weather anomalies that we're having, may not work for us.
And that's all we knew.
Well, that's
what
all
we
we've always known. We've always done the older way of farming, and it's always worked. But now that we have these different weather anomalies, whether man-made or whether they're just natural, the plants are not responding well to it. So we've got to, as people here and homesteaders, we have to figure out, just like our forefathers had to figure out in the beginning, what works for them in their climate. Now, we've always told y'all what we do here may not work where you're at. And what you do where you're at may not work here. So that much we've learned. Because we live in zone 8B, and I will tell you, you can look at the calendars, and you can look at what the last frost dates were, the earliest freeze dates, all that kind of stuff, and it's not accurate anymore. It doesn't work. And I'm not trying to be rude or bust a bubble or anything like that. All the old almanacs and all that stuff, they don't work with these new weather anomalies that we have going on right now. So, guys, today we're going to finish shelling these things here. We got a long way to go. We still got a whole 5-gallon bucket sitting here in front of me. And we're going to try to get this done. But while I was sitting here, shelling butter peas. I was so thankful that we had them with peas that's had no water for 4 weeks and don't look like they're going to get any more. We just want to praise the Lord. And I told Wanda, I said, you know what? I want to do a porch time. And I want to talk about how thankful we are for what we have. And guys, that's the secret to life to me, is to be thankful. If you want to be blessed, be thankful for what you have. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.
Alrighty. Pardon me. Let's see. Hang on just a second. Okay, got one from NWA Prepper here titled Security Thoughts. Do you feel secure in your thoughts? I don't.
Good morning, everyone. NWA Prepper here. I guess it's the middle of the night. And I am on a security detail. Actually on a little bit of a break. Otherwise I wouldn't have time to make a video. I mean, I may have time, but I wouldn't make a video. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of my thoughts on security and I guess retreat security is what I'm talking about, or in this case it's an event. And I'm tired. It is well, I'm not posting this today, so I guess it doesn't matter. It is about 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, and about every 2 hours we have a changing, so you get to relax and go to the restroom, get something to drink, or to kind of not be keyed up for a few minutes. And so I thought I'd take a minute and share with you some of and this will be real quick, but a few of the takeaways that I think are important. To begin with is if you're on a security detail, you need to be on that detail. You need to be focused. Your mind needs to be on what you're looking for, or what you're protecting, or an area that you're securing. Excuse me. And you need to be where you are. You need to be in the moment. And that takes a lot of a mental fortitude, I guess. Because I could totally be wandering around with my earbuds in, listening to music and bebopping around, and just kind of walking. Or for that matter, I could be sitting in a chair just staring down the way, but that's not the job. And I'm using this as an opportunity, along with the others, as a training opportunity, as an opportunity that what we're protecting today is not our families. So if there's an error, today's the day to have it. The lessons to learn are today. So some things, and we have to do things a little bit differently today. I don't have my rifle slung. I'm far from unarmed. I have, of course, a flashlight. I have a radio. I have a firearm. Those are the things that I actually have those things all the time, but I don't often have the big lump on the flashlight. And then, but most importantly, and we have, like I said, we have communications. is, sorry, I don't know, I'm on a break, but I still heard some talking that didn't sound from a regular place. But you just have to be on the task. You have to realize that what you're listening for, what you're watching, what you're taking care of is important. And if it's your family or your retreat, it's everything. So you can't be thinking about, what am I going to plant in the garden tomorrow? Excuse me. You can't be thinking about anything. You need to be focused on what you're doing. You need to be focused on, this is the area that I'm in charge of listening and watching. And that's what you're doing. And it's hard. And it's easy after hours of doing the same thing, of watching the same field or the same intersection or the same whatever. It would be easy to get sidetracked, to be complacent. And you can't. You have to stay vigilant. You have to stay involved. You have to stay on it. You have to stay in good communication. You have to have, now we don't have that here because we know everyone on the security detail personally. But you have to have watchwords and counter watchwords, and you have to have, you just have, there's a lot to security. And that's not what this video is. It's about a mindset thing that you have to remember that what you're watching is the most important thing. And since today is a training weekend, I have to treat these vendor booths, I don't know, there's 120 building, a bunch of food vendors. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff here, but nobody's life depends on it. Well, I mean, other than their financial lives, but nobody's gonna die if I fell asleep. But that's not acceptable. And if I'm training like I fight, which is what we should train for, then that's not the case. I'm vigilant. We have a guard rotation. We have posts. We have, a roaming patrol. We actually, because it's my group that's doing this, we actually have the event, the several blocks that we're in here, we have guards there, and then we have, just like we would normally have, just not the same distance, we have a roaming patrol out further than our perimeter, because I don't want to fight somebody when they get to the gate. I don't want to be surprised when they come around the corner. And so we have a patrol that's they're pretty vigilant. They're actually doing the whole time frame without changing, because that's how they would be. They wouldn't have a changing of the guard. And so they're doing that. And we've turned this event, this festival, into a training activity so that we can learn about being up all night long and having to work some during the day and still have other responsibilities, and it's I don't know, I just think it's important. Security is important, and it needs to be your focus. And if you can't stay focused on it, maybe you're not the right person for security, or maybe you need to have a gut check and realize that it has to be taken completely serious. And if you can practice that today, it will be easier when there are no street lights, when there is no when it's for real, when people's lives are at stake. Because the bad guys are, well, and even as good guys, you want to watch for that pattern in security, that time, that 3 o'clock, that 4 o'clock in the morning, when people have been up there exhausted and they're not on their A game. That's when you want to hit them. That's what I would want to do. And so you have to be prepared, that not just at 11 o'clock at night after lights out. You have to be prepared at 3 and 4 and 2 in the morning, when everything's quiet and everyone's dead to the world. That's when you have to be on your A game. And you can do it. Put some thought in it. Try. Stay up one time or 10 when it's not your normal time. And it's hard. I've been yawning. I'm tired. But I'm learning. Every hour I learn something new. But I also learn that I can stay alert and keep focused when I have to. Hope you can too. Let's get ready.
Man. Wow. Just still following stuff on social media with these vaping bans, and ridiculous. In Massachusetts, right? You can't even, like, if you've already got a device and you've already got your juice and all of that, you can't even, like, order coils from out of state and have them shipped to you. Can't even do that. Can't do any of it. Can't do anything. You can't even use the devices that you already have. Well, I mean, technically, in a sense, you can, but if you can't get coils for them, it's like if they would ban bullets, right? So it would only take a matter of time after banning bullets that guns would be useless, right? So it's the same thing here. Exact same thing here. No different. It's, it's crazy. It's crazy. Wow. And it looks, well, it looks like people are kind of undivided on Michigan, whether or not they will be able to, like, buy coils, either in or out of state. But Massachusetts, for sure, you can't. That's a no-go. That's a no-go. As far as I know, at this time, New York, you could buy coils and whatnot, but just not flavored juice. So this is getting stupid. This is really, truly getting stupid. This is why I have made my own coils and juice for so long, because I didn't have to rely on the government to allow me to do something that's my business. However, I just made the move into salt vaping, which I don't have recipes for it right now. So kind of in a bad boat. And the e-cig the mod I'd got uses pre-built coils. They don't have like a rebuildable deck. But I've been in this game for quite a while, and just about every single coil I've came across, I've figured out how to dissect and rebuild. So I am hoping, absolutely hoping, that these coils will be no different, that I will be able to figure out how to dissect and recoil, rewick, and put back together and make it good like new again. So that is the hope. We shall see. It depends. I don't know what the coils, I know what they look like. I've seen pictures and videos and stuff like that, but I haven't held one in my hands. Once I hold one in my hands, what will happen is I will run the first one until it's dead, and once the first coil's dead, then that one will become my patient, and I will pull it apart or attempt to pull it apart, figure out how to rebuild it, and then and put it back together. But like the mod that I've got in my hand right now that I've been vaping on for quite some time now, I wonder how long I've had this thing. This thing is just absolutely awesome. I absolutely love this mod. But the problem is, I swear it weighs about 20 pounds, and it's big, it's heavy, it's, I want to get away from that stuff. I really do. I want to get away from the sub-ohm high voltage, I should say sub-ohm high wattage vaping. I just kind of want to get away from that stuff. I would rather go salt nicks, go with a lighter vape style, but with a higher nicotine. To me, that is the way to go. Let's see, 7/19 of 2018, I believe that was 7/19 of 2018. So, just over a year. Yeah, the one I'm holding in my hand, I've had for just over a year, and this thing is like awesome. It really has. It hasn't skipped a beat, not one. It's been a good device. So most of the time they don't last me over 6 months, to be honest. My mods, they just die. I'm not extremely rough on them, but they do drop on occasion. But this is sad what's going on. This is really truly sad what's going on. Anyway, let me get you another video. I'll quit bitching. Ham Radio Crash Course has a video. Now, we played a video once before where somebody kind of went over one of these antennas. But I'm going to play this one. This is the same brand antenna. I don't know if it was this channel or a different channel that covered this antenna. But these things, I don't have one yet. That's another thing that's on my list somewhere. Anyway, this is supposed to really, really improve the reception and transmitting of your handheld ham radio. So, again, the channel is Ham Radio Crash Course. The video is titled Abri Tactical Ham Radio Antenna Performance Test and Review.
Hey, what's up everybody? Josh KI6NAZ. I knew when I made that Abri antenna video that I would do a greater deep dive and go into some more of the details, how effective they are, and today is the day we talk about that. So when I found these funky antennas on Amazon, I just thought they were going to be, kind of a joke video. But then it turned out that to me, when I use it on the radio, they worked out really well. And I really couldn't explain why. I didn't do any real deep testing on it, but I set out to do so. And that led me down the road of HT antenna testing. I'm going to cover this really quickly, and then I promise we'll get right into it. So here's just the Abri 18-inch antenna, right? And actually, I've got one on my Kenwood THF6 right now. And the thing to remember about an HT, and this is why a lot of people rag on HTs so hard, is that they are a vertical, right? So the center connector of the coax, right, if you will, is the vertical element, and then call it the negative side, the return side, is the radio itself, the body of the radio, and then your hand holding the radio and your head, and then whatever coily bits there are in the middle. Well, so testing these, I've learned in a way that you get a good apples to apples comparison is difficult because every company makes their testing rigs for when they're tuning these things different. And how they do it, and as I learned how they do it, they use like a fake head. They create a simulacrum of the radio, or they'll put the IF channel in out of the radio into something like a readout display, and then they'll have a fake head filled with saline or some kind of stuff. And this is one way to do it. There are other ways too, but that's what they do to mimic the human in the loop, right? Because when you're transmitting, the HT's right here, or you have the mic connected with a cable, which is still part of the loop. So testing it any other way than how they tested it would be unfair to the manufacturer that made the antenna. So doing a comparison of the Abri against Nagoyas and the Nagoyas against the signal sticks, you're really only as good as the closest you can get to the test apparatus for the company that made the antenna. So none of that here. What we're going to do quite simply is transmit from a location using all the antennas, and we're going to receive it with an SDR, an SDR that can capture the signal to noise ratio. And we're going to see which antenna transmits the best, and then we're going to flip things around. We're going to put the antenna on the SDR, the Abri antennas on the SDR, and then we're going to transmit into it using the same antenna to get a benchmark. That will very quickly give us an understanding of which antennas both transmit the best and receive the best on 2 meter and 70 centimeter. Sorry for the long-winded example to start, but let's get started. Alright guys, so I have the 18-inch Abri. I'm going to call out on a simplex frequency, just make sure we got a good connection. I realized when I was putting the edits together that the 2 meter portion of the transmit side, so just a little part of this video upcoming, the audio on the receive side was really low. That doesn't affect the signal strength. I just want you to know when it sounds low, that was not intentional, that was my mistake. So don't worry about it, it'll be over in a minute. Notice the signal strength, that's the important part.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ doing a radio test with the 18-inch Abri antenna radio test.
Now I'm going to take the 24-inch folded, do the same thing.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ radio test on the 24-inch folded Abri antenna radio test.
Now unfold it. I leave the 18 up because I always leave it up when I transmit. I don't know.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ radio test with the 24-inch Abri unfolded radio test.
42-inch Abri.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ with the 42-inch Abri antenna folded KI6NAZ.
Now, unfolded. So long.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ doing a radio test for the unfolded Abri antenna. Unfolded 42-inch Abri antenna.
As a constant, I have 2 Nagoya 771s that we're going to do a test with. So this is the constant.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ radio test with the Nagoya 771. We'll call this antenna 1.
Nagoya 771 number 2.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ Nagoya 771 antenna number 2 radio test.
Back for 70 centimeters.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ radio test on the 18-inch Abri antenna, KI6NAZ. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ with the folded 24-inch Abri antenna radio test. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ with the unfolded 24-inch Abri antenna, KI6NAZ. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ with the folded 42-inch Abri antenna, KI6NAZ. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ with the unfolded 42-inch Abri antenna, KI6NAZ. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ with the Nagoya 771 antenna. Call this Nagoya number 1. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ with the Nagoya number 2, Nagoya 771 antenna test, KI6NAZ.
So I'm in the deep recesses of my garage. I'm about 13 feet away from my SDR play that has the 18-inch Abri connected to it, and I've got a Baofeng on a dummy load. I'm going to transmit into this, and we're going to get an SWR or an S power meter reading off of the SDR play, which will give us an idea of how powerful the receive side is when compared against all the other antennas.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ on 2 meters transmitting into the 18-inch Abri antenna.
Okay, now let's do it on 70 centimeters.
KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ transmitting from a dummy load on 70 centimeters into the Abri 18-inch antenna on 70 centimeters. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ transmitting into the 24-inch Abri antenna from a dummy load on 2 meters. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ transmitting from a dummy load on 70 centimeters into a 24-inch Abri antenna. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ transmitting from a dummy load into the 42-inch Abri antenna on 2 meters. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ transmitting into a dummy load on 70 centimeters into the 42-inch Abri antenna. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ transmitting on 2 meters from a dummy load into the Nagoya 7701 antenna. KI6NAZ, KI6NAZ transmitting through a dummy load on 70 centimeters into the Nagoya 771 antenna.
So to put a bow on this whole thing, here are my thoughts on the Abri antennas. It's obvious that they favor VHF. They do very well transmit and receive on VHF. I found, interestingly enough, and this is something we should probably keep in mind, that when it's folded kind of just in half like this, any one of the models, it seems to do better on UHF for transmit. You get about a half S unit greater transmit power than when you use it unfolded. I don't know why that is necessarily, but I have a feeling it's due obviously to it being folded and something to do with the size of that frequency for UHF, but I don't know. Now, the big surprise for me is how fantastic the receive side of the Abri antenna is. Specifically on UHF, I was very impressed by the numbers that we got on the 24-inch and the 42-inch Abri antenna on UHF. It blew the Nagoya out of the water, and Nagoya as an antenna goes, the 771, is much stronger on the UHF side, and I expected it to perform better on the transmit side, which it did, but I also expected it to just trounce the Abris on receive, and it didn't. So that tells me, again, the Abri antennas, all of them, the 18-inch, the 24-inch, and the 42-inch, are a value-priced antenna. The quality could be dubious for some of you. This bend here, if you leave it like that for too long, will develop a bit of memory. This one in particular, the 42-inch, gets a little floppy when you unfold it. But still, a very good antenna for the price. Its novelty factor is obviously through the roof. It is a little weird. You may kind of come across as a weirdo if you have one of these on your radio, but it performs well, and you can't take that away from it. So if you have any thoughts on how I could improve upon this review, if there's something you would like to see done, we can do a follow-up video or something like that, post them in the comments below. Now, I will leave you with this one thing on the 42-inch. I was going to snake this through the webbing on my load-bearing harness where I've got my magazines and stuff like that for my rifle, and I had an incredibly difficult time bending this. And the problem isn't the vertical bend, it's this kind of horizontal bend that you need to put into it. When you start doing that horizontal bend, you will kink it irreparably, and you're not going to be able to like straighten it out after that point. Further, if you do get it all bent up and it's like sitting wrapped around like that, your radio's not really going to be movable. You're going to have to use a hand mic. So keep that in mind. I'm not really advocating anybody do that. There are actual systems you can buy that are antennas that are built into harnesses if you really need that. Anyway, I am Josh, KI6NAZ. I'd love it if you give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and click that bell because I live stream most Fridays, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we try and cover all kinds of different topics about amateur radio. I'll see you then.
Alrighty, I'm actually going to do a couple here in a row of Wolfgang because I've missed two of them. So my apologies to Wolfgang. I just forget, dude. That's all it is. You can borrow Jen's crutch and smack me upside the head with it. Okay, obviously the channel is Wolfgang, and the first video is titled Sunday Vicks Vapor Rub. And where else do you rub that there?
Hello everybody, this is Wolfgang here. It's Sunday, September the 15th, and the Bengals are playing at home. I don't watch it anyway, so I don't care. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. And to start off with, it's milk bone time. I got a fresh box, see? I gave the other box to the dogs that live outside because they were stale. I'm picky when it comes to my milk bones. So we'll open this box up. And start off with a nutritious snack before the football game. Yeah, I know. I eat milk bones and watch football on Sunday. Don't tell anybody, alright? So, milk bones, good for your teeth and your fur. And it keeps your breath fresh. But today, I'm going to try my milk bone with some blackberry jam. That's got to be good. Ooh, these are a little bigger than the last ones I had. That's my blackberry jam. That's good stuff. I know we gotta do this all the time. Excuse me while I'm eating. And wash it down with some orange juice. My whole point, excuse me, of eating the milk bones is just to let people know that you can do it. I'll put peanut butter on them. I'll put honey on them. And today I used blackberry jam. And it tastes good. You don't have to put anything on the milk bone. But the point is, if you're in a situation and you're freaking hungry and you come across the box of these, you can eat them. So my topic today, I've been searching around and I came across an article I know my sunlight in here is weird, my lighting. Okay, Vicks Vapor Rub. Not only can you use this to rub on your chest when you have a cold or your throat, come to find out there's a lot of other uses for it. As a matter of fact, this article that I am looking at says 15 surprising reasons to keep Vicks Vapor Rub in your preps. So, we all know the first one. You know, you use it, put it on your chest for decongestion when you're stuffy. If you have a cough, it helps. Just rub it on your chest. As I scroll down, and keep scrolling. Okay. Vicks was first introduced by a French pharmacist named Jules Bengue, I guess. Bengue. And this stuff has been around since 1905. That's pretty cool. So you can also use Vicks Vapor Rub for muscle pain relief, which I didn't know. A lot of these were new to me. It helps with sore muscles that are overworked. You just rub it on that, on the, wherever your muscle hurts, wherever it hurts, just rub it on there. It goes into the compounds, what's actually, as I drop it, what's actually in here. And I'm not going to go through all the words because I can't say half of them. But another one is the Vicks Vapor Rub is good for nail fungus. Whether it's on your toes or your hands. Nail fungus can be annoying, but it's an inevitable consequence of being out in the field. All you have to do is rub the Vicks Vapor Rub on the fungus to get rid of it over the course of 2 weeks. Uh-oh. I got Merlin sniffing my dog biscuits. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come over here. Don't get up on the table. Stop. Come over here. Merlin. Sorry. Hey. I can't show it. Stop. Get down. Okay, where was I? Oh, speaking of cats, you can also use Vicks Vapor Rub to stop your cat from scratching on your couch or door frames, etc. Cats are in the... Really, Merlin? There. I don't know if you can see him or not. Oh, there he is. He wants to play with a piece of paper. But anyway, you can, it says take the Vicks Vapor Rub and put a light amount, like on a door frame, around the windows. And the cats, they'll stay away from it because they don't like the smell. Another good one is if you have puppies and they keep peeing in a certain spot, you can put some of this Vicks Vapor Rub wherever the area where your puppy seems to want to go to the bathroom. Just rub that down. It's all about the smell. It doesn't smell as strong as I remember. I haven't used this stuff since I've been a kid. And this, by the way, I just bought this today. So anyway, but it makes sense. That odor of the Vicks Vapor Rub, whether it's your cat or your dog, just put a light amount wherever, and just the odor of that, they'll stay away from it. Another one is headache relief. And I didn't know you could use it for headache. It says Vicks Vapor Rub is the well-known methylated cream which people use to relieve head, throat, and chest pains. Rub a small amount of Vicks Vapor Rub on your temple and forehead to help relieve headaches. Okay, that's cool. What are you doing, buddy? Oh, you want to play? You want Flurry? Let me see it. Here, here. Nope. Okay. Oh. See, he's playing. He's in a mood today. Anyway. What are you doing, bud? Hey. For the headaches, it says you just rub a little bit on your temple, and that relieves your headache. If you have a humidifier when you're sick, you can put a little bit of this in your humidifier, the vape, and that helps with your sinuses and stuff. That's aerotherapy. The next one is Vicks Vapor Rub can help heal paper cuts, and if you have a splinter, to prevent infection and speed up healing time, some people will apply Vicks to splinter and cuts. You can do this at home or when you're outdoors. Just dab a little bit of Vicks Vapor Rub on the infected area. Another one, it helps heal insect bites. Tick, flea, or ant bites can be healed with Vicks Vapor Rub. Rub it immediately on the affected area to provide an instant relief. As an added bonus, the strong fragrance will also keep critters away from you. Woohoo! So the next time you all go out camping, rub yourself down with some Vicks Vapor Rub and you won't have any problem with mosquitoes. Your friends may stay away too. Okay, and why they threw this one in there, I have no idea, and I've never even heard of this. If there's anybody that knows anything about horses or racehorses, this is saying that professional racers smother Vicks Vapor Rub under the nostrils of their racehorses on race day. The strong stench deters the stallions from the alluring smell of the female pony. Oh, I see where they're going with that. Okay. Alright. We also said it drives mosquitoes away. We talked about that. The next one, number 13, is earache relief. And it says that you can take your Vicks Vapor Rub, and I know it's not a cotton ball, but put a little bit on a cotton ball and put the cotton ball in your ear. It won't cure the infection, but it'll help knock down the pain. Also, and this sounds like it would burn to me, but it says you can use Vicks Vapor Rub for cracked heels. I've never tried that. I don't know. But if you have really dry heels, apply the Vicks Vapor Rub to the heels and then put a sock on. Put a sock in it. And once again, the last one, because there was 15 of these, dry skin relief. And if you're, I mean, if things get that bad, and you know your skin's that dry or whatever, I mean, Vicks Vapor Rub, it just, like I said, I was just looking around for stuff, and I come across the Vicks Vapor Rub. It has more uses for it than just using it for congestion and rubbing it on your chest at night and going to bed. There was a couple of things that, growing up, we knew that but like for using it for a headache or sore muscles, stuff like that, I didn't know you could use it for that. Huh. That's pretty cool though, I think. I don't know. I'm weird that way. That's because I'm a dork. I like this kind of stuff. And I hope you do too. Anyway, it is 12:33 Sunday, football Sunday. And I'm going to get ready to make some other snacks besides milk bones so I can sit here and watch the football game. Hopefully this team wins. We played the 49ers, by the way. Anyway, that was fun. I hope maybe some of you guys that watch my video picked up on some stuff. Like I said, I've never heard some of the other uses for Vicks Vapor Rub. But once again, what I'm trying to do is bring out stuff that I don't really see other people talking about. And when I came across Vicks Vapor Rub, I was like, you know what? All the videos I watch on YouTube about prepping and different items to have, I haven't seen anybody talk about Vicks Vapor Rub. So I thought I would. So today's presentation was brought to you by Milk Bones. You gotta love the treat. You guys have a good Sunday. Blessed be. Stay safe. And this is Wolfgang, and I'll talk to you guys next weekend. Bye.
Alrighty. Let's see. And we're going to do them back to back here. That was the one from a week ago. And this one here that I'm doing is from 2 days ago. So, again, channel is Wolfgang. I think you guys know him. And it's titled 3 Locations to Avoid. Right? Walmart's a good one. Walmart. Anywhere in my general vicinity before coffee, that's a good place to avoid. And gun-free zones. Gun-free zones. Anyway, 3 locations to avoid.
Hello everybody, this is Wolfgang. It's Sunday, September 22nd. It's almost 11 o'clock here. So I'm having my morning orange juice instead of a milk bone. Excuse me, a milk bone will come, I might eat one watching the football game. Anyway, I have a few things I want to share. I'm going to first talk about some other types of freeze-dried food that we have. These guys usually run a sale for Patriots. I haven't tried this. I will try it though. Also, I have the Legacy. And then I was going to do this one this morning, but I didn't get up in time. I felt like sleeping in a little bit. But this one is called Patriot Pantry. And this one here, the food I bought with that came with a good sized tote. And this is more than 2 months supply of food. But they've got the buttermilk pancake mix. They've got chocolate pudding. They also have your drink mix, and then it's got soups and stuff like that with it, all kinds of different stuff. But that, I mean, I just don't stick with Mountain House or some of the others. I want to try a variety, see which one we like the best. So, oh, and the other thing is, I did go out, get myself a vape pen. This is a blackberry flavor. It's pretty good. So all those people that vape out there, it's the idiots that are messing that situation up. I don't care what anybody says. These younger people they're tampering with the vaping devices, or they're buying bootleg vaping devices. It's not the frickin' juice. They're being tampered with, or they're poorly made, and they're being used the wrong way. That's all I'm going to say about that. So what I wanted to talk about is, I wrote my notes down, 3 locations to avoid during a disaster. A disaster hits, whether it's a hurricane, a tornado, a blizzard, or man-made. Planning and being prepared and have a strategy is your friend. Assessing and determining where to go for safety and shelter and areas to avoid. Because if you've got to bug out, you need to know where you're going first off. But get from point A to point B, what's in between there? And I picked up this information off of My Patriot Supply. Don't get it confused with Patriot Pantry. It's not the same. This is one of the websites. When I'm looking stuff up, I look all over the place. But anyway, this is an article from My Patriot Supply. And they're saying supermarkets they've got marked down as number 1. And I think everybody out there knows, especially, it's a big joke here in Cincinnati. Oh, we got a snowstorm coming in, blah, blah, blah. Everybody runs to the grocery store. I mean, everybody. What's the first things? Eggs and bread, milk. Those are the first items that they're gone. So that's why, as preppers, we tell each other, stock up. Stockpile your food. I mean, if you're ready for that situation, I'm not going to say any situation, because you never know what's going to happen. But if you're prepared the best way you can, you won't be one of those people at the grocery store pulling your hair out, trying to figure out what what you need, what you can grab, or even getting into a fight. That was my loaf of bread. That kind of stuff. So try to avoid supermarkets, places like that. The second one that was brought up is bridges and tunnels. Now, if you think about it, especially your hurricane, this last hurricane that came through that was going to hit Florida, they had both highways opened up going out, leaving Florida, and they were packed. Okay, now, if it's after a situation and people are trying to get out, you're going to have all kinds of chaos. After a disaster, your infrastructure, your bridges, your tunnels, they're not going to be safe. And in this article that I read, they threw in 1989 the earthquake that hit California, and the bridges collapsed on each other. And that's where almost all of the deaths from that earthquake happened, were people being on the bridge. Now, saying that, you don't know when an earthquake's going to hit. Those people had no idea. So I was kind of, when I read that in this article, I was like, well, you don't know when an earthquake's going to hit. At least you got a warning with a blizzard, a hurricane, or a tornado, but you have no warning whatsoever with an earthquake. But going on with your bridges and tunnels, stay away from those areas. One, they're not going to be safe. And even if you are an engineer, you're trying to get away from something. You're trying to get to your bug out location. You're not going to stand there and assess the situation of how this bridge looks. There might be somebody out there that does it. I'm not going to. I'm going to stay away from the bridge and stay away from your tunnels. You don't know how many cars are even jam-packed into that tunnel. Another situation is blockades and checkpoints. They'll use bridges and tunnels for blockades and checkpoints. And you're going to have a lot of trouble on that situation. With the checkpoints, there might be people sitting at that checkpoint or the blockade, and you may have a fight break out between a couple people, and next thing you know, you got a full-blown riot on your hand. Just those people in that area. So if you've got a plan and you know your way around, just avoid the bridges and those tunnels. I always try to think of the worst possible thing that could happen, and if that doesn't happen, you're okay. And then the last one was banks, and I found the banks kind of odd. Yeah, if shit hits the fan for some unknown reason, well, here you go, media. The media puts out there, the stock market's going to crash, and they make a big monster deal out of this, and people start running the bank, pulling their money out. That's going to cause some problems too. After shit hits the fan, you might have some boneheads trying to break into banks. But I wouldn't. If you can keep cash on hand, a lot of people out there talk about having gold and silver. But how much gold and how much silver? You're adding. That's weight. I think I would rather have food, water, and whatever else, and barter items, because gold and silver's got weight to it. Just like, are you going to hump a bunch of water? Are you going to hump 10, 15 pounds of gold coins and silver coins? That adds up. Cash is a little lighter, but how much cash can you carry on you? The other thing that was brought up in the article was the ATMs. In a disaster time, your ATMs, you're better off to go inside and use the ATM. But if you have to, you can use the ATM on the outside because of the cameras and they're well lit. Problem is, if there's no power, you're not using an ATM. Period. Now, like I said, you might have some idiots trying to break into the banks too, and if you got that going on, you don't even want to be near that. I'd just stay away from that. But also, and these were just the main three that was in this article. But you've got others, your prisons. What about your local hospital? If they get overwhelmed, well, some of the nursing homes did with Katrina. I mean, they lost some people because they didn't move the people out, and they lost power. So that just goes along with your planning. Make a plan. Even if you're driving to work, or if you're sitting out on your porch, just look around your neighborhood and notice things. Pay attention to your surrounding, and that's something that I always say. Just pay attention to your surroundings. So I'm gonna get off here. I hope everybody has a groovy Sunday. I'm gonna watch the Bengals lose. And let's see, it's 11:09 here. I don't know what I'm having for lunch. Definitely tastes a lot better than a cigarette. So, everybody out there on YouTube land, blessed be, stay safe. This is Wolf Fang, and I'll see you all next weekend. Bye.
Alrighty, let's see here. Hang on here, I'm looking for it. Okay, got one here from Ron Paul Liberty Report titled Impeachment Hysteria, but who's guilty, Trump or Biden?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With me today is Daniel McAdams, our co-host. Daniel, good to see you.
How are you this morning, Dr. Paul?
Doing fine. I wonder how our president's doing this morning.
Yes, it's a frenzy.
Because the momentum is building. The Democrats have been wanting to impeach him for a long time. They've been making all kinds of charges. You know, Trump was in big trouble with Russiagate and collusion and cover-ups and on and on. And lo and behold, they were all lies. Yeah. And they finally spent, how much, $30-40 million we had to Mueller examinations and found out there was nothing. But now Trump's still in trouble. And the way I read it, I think it was CNN said, this is the most serious affront to the Constitution ever. In recent time. They're just nearly hysterical, and the Congress people are coming forward. And I think I've told you this, but when I watch these members of Congress getting up, yelling and screaming and implying, boy, you know, what he has done is unconstitutional. This is abhorrent. I took an oath to obey the Constitution, and this is very deserving of impeachment. And all I think about is, how many things have they done in Washington in the last 50 years that was absolutely not unconstitutional, that was authorized? And you could go down the list whether it was war or whatever. So it really bugs me what's going on. But politically is the only thing that counts. And right now this looks like there's a setback. But there was a lot of setbacks. Remember all the clips that played back about the trouble that Trump was in. This is the end. This is the end. And they'd all chime in, and they orchestrated the public relations for it. And now this is starting, but politically this is big stuff, because they're not going to convict Trump of impeachment and kick him out of office. Everybody knows that. So it's a political stunt and political building. The biggest thing is try to sort this out. And we want to talk a little bit about the whistleblower. There's a whistleblower involved, so I want to spend some time on that. So hopefully we can get to the bottom of that.
And the backdrop here is that, you know, President Trump spoke to the new president of Ukraine recently, and the issue came up of President Biden's son's corruption problems in Ukraine, which were widely written about. His activity in Ukraine was widely known at the time, but the issue now hinges on when he talked to the new president of Ukraine. There's, I think, $400 million worth of U.S. military aid that had been on ice for quite some time. The question is, We do know that he brought up the issue of the investigation of corruption and of Biden's son. The issue is whether there was a quid pro quo. Hey, listen up. If you want this money, you better take down Biden's son. The president says, no way, that's not at all what was discussed. He did bring it up, but wasn't any issue of quid pro quo. The Democrats are saying because of this whistleblower, who even the Washington Post reported does not have firsthand knowledge of the telephone call. So that's all sort of a red flag. It makes you wonder if this is a deep state deal where Brennan and Clapper's people that are still in the intel community are listening. So it all hinges, apparently, according to the hysterical Democrats, on what Trump said in this phone call.
Right.
So, and we do, the real issue, though, I mean, the bigger issue, and this is we both read Pat Buchanan's column earlier today, and a lot of people have written about it. The danger is in bringing this up, you're actually resurfacing this scandal of Hunter Biden, the president's son.
I think so. That's sort of like what this an incident like this brings up is all the terrible things they do, and they both parties do it together, and they don't even care. And even involving Ukraine, and we talked a lot under Obama. I'm sure the Democrats would want to impeach Obama. He was involved with regime change secretly, using the CIA and our diplomats, and we throw out an elected leader out of Ukraine and sort of set the stage for all this. But we had regime change, and remember all the condemnation when they said Trump interfered and the Russians were interfering with the election. That was a high crime. You know? But we do it daily, and Ukraine has been involved. But this is what gets to me. The big stuff is the important stuff. They wouldn't dare touch it. How many presidents have taken it upon themselves to start wars, undeclared war, and it goes on and on. There's too many to list. But this whole idea that all of a sudden we have to impeach his president. He did something unconstitutional. It's so horrible. We have to immediately impeach him. So that is a little bit tiring.
And the danger here again is with Biden's son, and he was involved with this company, Burisma Holdings, which is a natural gas company. But the problem for Biden, Biden's got a problem with his mouth. He can't keep it closed. And when he does open it, he says weird things. But here is a clip, and we should show this because I don't know how much of America has seen this. Here's a clip of Biden bragging about getting someone fired in Ukraine and literally saying this is a quid pro quo. If you don't fire this guy, you will not get the money. So let's watch this.
I remember going over convincing our team or others to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to the press conference. Said, "No," I said, "I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion." They said, "You have no authority. You're not the president." The president said. I said, "Call him." I said, "I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion." I said, "You're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here." And I think it was 6 hours. I said, "I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money." Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
So who was this prosecutor, General Prosecutor Shokin? Well, he was the guy, Dr. Paul, investigating Biden's son for corruption. Here we had this great regime change. We ended corruption of Yanukovych. So Biden's son came in there, Hunter Biden came in there with his company. He was hired by this natural gas company, Burisma Holdings. He was paid $50,000 a month for sitting on the board. But his company in the U.S., Rosemont Seneca, they were receiving $160,000 a month from this company as well. Biden has no experience in the energy sector whatsoever, no experience running a company. He was paid about $3 million, and here you have the father saying, "Hey, I got that guy who was investigating my kid fired, and we gave him $1 billion for it."
Yeah, but you have to realize where he was giving this little talk gave the indication that he can get away with this. He was at the CFR, and giving this talk, so that he doesn't have to worry. And I was thinking about all the things going on, whether it was with Russiagate or with these last couple of days, of all the lies and innuendos and raising questions and the hysteria. 2 days, and boom, 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 and even some who have not even hinted that they thought, oh, maybe we better look into Trump. Now that they're talking about that, but it took a couple years to undo the lying that they did before. So I think the impression that has been given already on this is going to, to really clarify and get to the truth, probably would take another 2 years. That's why this is a political problem. And hopefully something breaks, and maybe what Pat Buchanan's on to, some of this would break, because in just the way you recited it, the trouble is we don't have millions of people watching our stuff, but maybe it'll spread around. Maybe people will take a listen to this and let other people know that there is an answer to this, because it's not simple. But this whole thing of quid pro quo, that's what foreign policy, foreign aid is all about. That's the reason they do it, and we expect to, our leaders expect to do that. But I would say that Republicans do it, the Democrats do it, Trump probably, maybe he talked to them on the phone, so that maybe there would at least be, some innuations that occurred. But the whole thing is the point is the real corruption is stealing money from the American people and sending it over to some foreign country so that we can control their politics, and then we end up with a mess. Who gets to do the controlling on our side? It's pretty bad.
Yeah, there's the real corruption in the first place. Trump claimed, he said, there was no quid pro quo. But now what's come out today, which has got everyone's blood flowing at a high pace, at a high rate, is that apparently Trump ordered a hold on this $400 million worth of military aid before the call to the new president. So there's feeling now that this is the smoking gun. President Trump said, hey, I ordered the stop on the aid because the Europeans weren't coming through with their fair share, and I don't think we should pay the whole freight for this. Of course, we would say you shouldn't pay any of it. Maybe that's true, maybe it isn't, but that's what he claims, and that would be in keeping with what he says. Previously, the Europeans aren't ponying up.
Yeah, and I think that obviously is the case. But I was thinking about what was in the news today that could be a proper attention getter. And that is the tragedy that happened in Afghanistan. It's been going on for 18 years. Trump ran on a program. It's a bad war. Of course, Obama ran on a program and said Afghanistan was a good war. But anyway, it's a bad war. It's a Republican war and a Democrat war, and it goes on and on. But just yesterday, I guess, we participated in a bombing raid of a wedding party, and 40 civilians were killed. Now, can you imagine, our media covering this and taking a picture of this and put it up? Look at what we have done in an illegal, unconstitutional, immoral war, and done by a president that promised us to get us out of there. And we have to do things. We have to curtail his powers and then work on curtailing these executive power privileges that he has. Now, there's where the real problem is. This is all total fiction, and it gets 99% of the attention, and because the election is, important to everybody. I think it's a lot less important than some others, because it seems like under the conditions we have today, not much changes. We have Trump, who is seen as a more desirous of peace than Obama, or Obama actually pretended to be, but Trump. And Trump keeps the troops in, keeps it going, and there we have had Obama. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. What a joke that whole thing is. So, and this is an opportunity for us to make our best effort to show really what's going on here. And this is all fake. It's all political positioning. And once again, this whole idea that we have to get engaged because we caught the president cold-handed. Yeah. He broke the Constitution. What about Article 1, Section 8, and all the laws that we watch get passed in the years we were in Washington? How many of them really fit the category of constitutionality? Not very much.
Yeah. People might watch this show saying, oh, here they go, they're defending Trump again. But I think your point and our point as a show is that you're missing the point. The point is not that he had a phone call. The point is everything else he's done. And they're just too lazy, or they don't care, and Congress is completely asleep. What about the continued bombing? What about lobbing all those missiles into Syria before we even knew about the chemical attacks. What about all this stuff?
But wouldn't that be because they agree with them on those?
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
it. I mean, they were rather quiet with Trump's outspoken disagreement with the Federal Reserve. But the truth is, if it's determined, and many people are coming around to our position, that the Federal Reserve is a real mess, and they're bringing, giving us a lot of grief. But basically, Republicans and Democrats agree with that. And there's a few of us that still believe that the Constitution does instruct us about what monetary policy is like, and that there's no authority for the Federal Reserve. So, but both parties agree with that. And that's why if you're going to have a fight for power, I think these are real fights, right? Fight for powers and positioning, because who knows whose kid's going to get a benefit. And to paint this now as something that the Democrats are saintly, and then you just gave the good explanation about how Biden's son and the Bidens benefited by all this.
The danger for the elites is that this really exposes the deep corruption in Washington, the whole thing, because if you remember very well, the coup in Ukraine was all about, we got to get rid of the corruption under Yanukovych. We got to get rid of all this corruption. And what happens, the problem wasn't the corruption. The problem is that people like the president's campaign chairman, Manafort and the others, they were the ones benefiting from the corruption. We want our guys to benefit from the corruption. We got to get a job for Hunter Biden. He doesn't have anything to do. He's getting in trouble. I think he's busted for drugs or something before. We need to get something for this guy to do. So that was the problem, not the corruption, but we want our own corruption.
You're pretty good on this stuff, and you're good on all this legality stuff and how Congress works. So I'm going to ask you a very, very tough question. Do you think another special counsel might be helpful to us?
Maybe a few million more dollars to
that'll subsidize somebody.
But I think at the end of the day, the real issue is that President Trump has some trouble because the optics aren't very good, and he's not very good at explaining himself. But the person I would hate to be more than Trump is Biden right now, because he didn't want this, even with his gaffe about bragging about. He doesn't want this corruption exposed. People will see his son going in there with no experience, making millions of dollars off of this. It looks bad. Look at Biden's numbers; they're already sinking. Every time he opens his mouth, people say, "Oh no, we don't want this guy to be president." So it's a big trouble.
But isn't this similar to what they did in Russiagate? I mean, they were involved, and Hillary was involved with all this. They were much more guilty, but they took everything and flipped it around and said it was all the Republicans. It took 2 years to clarify that. So they're doing the same thing now. I think Biden is worse at this. And I don't think Trump. To me, it would probably be nickels and dimes for Trump. For that. Is he going to say, "Hey, my son needs a job for $50,000 a month"? And that's not true. But in trying to seek the truth is a job. But I hope Pat Buchanan's on the right track, and you mentioned it, that when the truth comes out. But it's a matter of timing, and politics is all about timing and images and propaganda. And the clock is running. So if the Republicans are going to neutralize us, they can't take 2 years to do it. They better come up, with the Biden thing. But it remains to be seen, because Biden right now, or the Democrats, have control of this. They're not going to be talking about Biden so much as they just have directed it toward this evil Trump, who participated in negotiating about corruption in our foreign aid. What a mess!
What a mess. Well, I'll just remind our viewers again, as I did yesterday, to click like. We did get an increase in likes by asking. If we do that, it helps get the program out in front of more people. So it's a pretty easy way to help the program. We'd also ask you to sign up for updates from the Ron Paul Institute. Just go to ronpaulinstitute.org and you'll see subscribe and do that, so we can send you stuff, send you some information. A lot of times we'll send information to our subscribers first when it comes to where our next conferences are going to be, or where our next events are going to be. And of course, always, we don't share or sell your name. So we want you to be part of what we're doing. So thanks for watching. Dr. Paul?
Thank you very much. I want to point out one more irony about this whole mess, because when the subject came up on whether Trump was negotiating with our foreign aid. I think it was $250 million, and the Democrats have said, well, he was negotiating with, and he committed a treasonous crime by doing this. But it's ironic to me that taking money from the people and giving the authority to the president and the Congress to give this money away. That is much closer to a treasonous crime, even though it's so accepted, nobody would agree with that. But all of a sudden, you know, they turn it around and they're able to say that if you deny for a moment of giving this money in an unconstitutional way, we're going to try you for treason, and we're going to convict you and convict you of being treasonous, kick you out of office. So it's a mess, but I think truth will win out in the end, and hopefully, you know, things will be better than they are right now, because this is a big mess. But this is more or less what I've anticipated and predicted, because I claim the country is bankrupt. Financially, it's bankrupt. Morally, it's bankrupt. Politically, it doesn't work anymore, and tinkering with it won't work. This is all tinkering. It's not dealing with the real problem of the Constitution in its real sense. It's not real. It's not dealing with the monetary issue and the spending issue and the debt. So there is a bankrupt. There's a, you know, politically, the whole system doesn't function anymore, and that isn't all bad. But it gives us an opportunity. We better help design and help replace it, because there's a lot of people out there that know exactly what we know, and they call themselves socialists, and they're not embarrassed by it. And this is what we have to work for. And it's try to define clearly what a republic should be like, and what limited government means, and what personal liberty should mean to American people, so that they encourage us and also join us in this struggle. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to the Liberty Report. Please come back soon.
Oops, sorry about that. I was back there making me a chicken salad sandwich. Kind of starving. Okay. I don't know if I played that or not. Hang on. Let me see. No, I haven't. Okay. Wanted to make sure I hadn't already played this. Got one from The Prepared Mind titled The Big SHTF Move.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Got a great story here. It shows us kind of where we're at. Here's the news headline. Giuliani hits Biden with a new $3 million Ukraine to Latvia to Cyprus money laundering accusation. Now, it doesn't really matter what we think of Giuliani or what we think of Biden. This is a story about how things are coming apart, as far as I'm concerned. This is an idea I've introduced on this channel a while back, and that's that the fight for control between these power groups is very real and could become explosive. The idea of scorched earth, that is, that when one side or the other knows they're going to lose power, that they'll do whatever it takes to either hide their crimes or destroy everyone else's chances. So this series of tweets that Giuliani put out on Monday is incredibly powerful. Number one it's going after Joe Biden, who's a presidential candidate. And admittedly, I'll admit, I don't know if anyone else will, but they should. Joe is an awful presidential candidate. It's been known for years, though, or at least it's been out there. I don't know if it's been known. Certainly, I don't know if it's been believed by others. But this entire war with Ukraine that happened under the Obama administration, and then Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was involved with a series of trade deals, business deals, that had, at least on the surface, it had the appearance of them enriching themselves over the entire incident. It looked like it looked transparent to me. We had a war, the government's involved, and oh, look at that, Joe Biden and his son are right there in the energy market in Eastern Europe, affecting things and appearing to benefit. So Giuliani writes or tweets, new fact, one $3 million payment to Biden's son from Ukraine to Latvia to Cyprus to the U.S. when prosecutor asked Cyprus for amount going to son, he was told U.S. Embassy, Obama's, instructed them not to provide the amount. Prosecutor getting too close to son and Biden had him fired. And pardon the terrible English there. Pardon the terrible English, but that's the way Giuliani typed it out. I know Twitter doesn't really allow you to write paragraphs and paragraphs. So anyways, his language is a little bit abrupt, but I think he kind of transfers what he's trying to say pretty well. So the next tweet was, today, though it's the $3 million laundered payment, classical proof of guilty knowledge and intent that was kept from you by the swamp media. Ukraine, Latvia, Cyprus, U.S. is a usual route for laundering money. Obama's U.S. Embassy told Cyprus Bank not to disclose amount to Biden. Stinks. Okay. Trump's personal attorney then mentioned China, where journalist Peter Schweizer reported Joe and Hunter Biden flew in 2013, that's back when all this was going on Air Force Two. They took Air Force Two, not on vice presidential duty, not even on a vice presidential vacation, which is kind of one of those weird things we're hearing about Trump. Oh, he's spending money on jet skis for the family. That must be a bad thing. Never mind that. But here it appears Air Force Two was used for private business deal. 2 weeks later, Hunter's firm inked a private equity deal for $1 billion with a subsidiary of the Chinese government's Bank of China, which expanded to $1.5 billion, according to an article by Schweizer in the New York Post. So Giuliani continues, Biden scandal only beginning. Lots more evidence on Ukraine, like today's money laundering of $3 million. 4 or 5 big disclosures. And the $1.5 billion China gave to Biden's fund while Joe was, as usual, failing in his negotiations with China is worse. This is really fascinating. But Giuliani, he's not done yet. But wait, there's more. Biden says he never talked to his son about his overseas business. Yeah. And Bill Clinton talked to Loretta Lynch about grandchildren on the airport tarmac in Phoenix several years ago on a exceedingly hot day. He wanted to walk out there, get on her plane, and discuss grandchildren. At a time when Hillary needed to have her ass covered. Yeah, that's viable. I'm going with that. So Biden says he never talked. This is a Giuliani tweet. Biden says he never talked to his son about his overseas business. Do you think we can prove with our fact a day disclosures it's a lie, a false exculpatory statement? Do we have to prove, or do you already know it's a lie and an incriminating statement? rather confused jumble of stuff. Giuliani continues, if Dem Party doesn't call for investigation of Biden's millions from Ukraine and billions from China, they will own it. Biden's made big money selling public office. How could Obama have allowed this to happen? Will the Dems continue to condone and enable this kind of pay for play? This is where it's very fascinating. So Giuliani's asking some important questions here. How could have Obama allowed this to happen? Well, Obama was engaged in transferring money to Iran. I think it was, billions of dollars in literal cash with a no-deal deal, right? There was an agreement signed with Iran that wasn't signed. There was no real agreement, and then Trump reversed that. And talking of pay for play, Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, had a pay for play with the Clinton Foundation. So when Giuliani asks, how could Obama have allowed this to happen? An awful lot of things happened under the Obama administration, which on their face appear to be incredibly illegal, including the billion-dollar deals and the million-dollar payouts. You see, let's just, there's a big difference between a few million and a couple of billion. There's a billion-dollar deal. That's the business deal. And the payout is a few million dollars. And it's kind of like a company is worth several billion, but the CEO gets a couple of million a year. This is their annual takeaway from a deal that's set up long term. This billion-dollar deal, these deals are set up to enrich them the rest of their lives, not a one-time payout. But these people, they're getting caught. And this really isn't up. When Rudy Giuliani says, if the Dem Party doesn't call for an investigation, they own it, right? And will Democrats continue to condone and enable this kind of pay for play? The answer is yes, they will. And also, Republicans are allowing it. If they don't stand up, if they don't run to microphones when they have real information, then they're condoning it. So, Giuliani's gone way over the top here. And that's what's incredible. He's gone way over the top. This isn't like me and you sitting in a board meeting kind of teasing each other or casually making accusations. You took a day off and didn't called it a business day. This isn't a small deal. Giuliani is a major national, if not international, political figure. And regardless of whether you like him, don't like him, believe he is crooked himself, had something to do with 9/11, it doesn't matter. He was a prosecutor, so that makes him an attorney. He was a prosecutor in New York, and he went after and took down a big section of the mob, the mafia. Right? He knows law, he knows crime, he knows how to prosecute it. So whether we like him or not, he is a rather powerful political piece on the chessboard. For him to come out and make this much stink all on Monday says an awful lot about where this could go, right? We could end up with him going after Biden. Biden could drop out of the presidential race. And this is up to the Trump administration, it's the Trump Attorney General, it's the Trump Department of Justice. Now, I know that there is a battle for control of these offices, these bureaucratic offices, to get them to do their job for once. I know there's a lot of fighting over that, but it is the Trump administration. They don't have to have investigations in Congress. In fact, congressional hearings have proven to be nothing more than grandstanding, political posturing, and political drama for entertainment purposes. They don't produce anything. I would love to see a hearing where Hillary goes in and has to defend herself and it ends up being let out in handcuffs, right? Or Comey is talking And they go, oh, thanks, Mr. Comey. And then they go and arrest Hillary. Yeah, Comey just said you broke the law. And we do have enough evidence, and now we're going to arrest you because the public has heard about it via a congressional hearing. That would be great if Congress could do something, but they don't. So the fact that Giuliani is saying this, yeah, politically, or rather for the purposes of campaigning, the Democrats own this. The Democrats are condoning it, so it will hurt them in political elections. That puts them to one side. But what Giuliani is laying out as an attorney and a prosecutor, from that side, what he's laying out is go get them. We have the information. It is now public. The people know it. And of course, on the left, they'll discount it. On the right, we want to believe it. Arrest them, arrest them, arrest them. This is, this much tweeting by Giuliani is a major advance, right? It is a strong offensive move against the Democrats. And we're not in the heat of a political campaign. We're over a year away from elections. So this isn't a purely political move. I mean, it's mired in politics. It's draped and clothed in politics. But it's not a campaign move. It's not a dirty campaign trick. It's not an October surprise. This is a strong move way ahead of time to weaken the Democrats. It's a strong move ahead of time, and I believe that they are going to go after, or they could go after, Biden and Hunter right now. Now, what is fascinating also is there are other characters that are implicated directly and indirectly. By talking as much as Giuliani has. He is directly implicating and making an accusation. And these aren't, like I said, boardroom accusations. This is in front of the American people. This is going around the news media. And I'm sure Fox will pick it up because Giuliani has been a stable fixture in Fox News. They can pick it up and run with it. Biden can be brought down, but Giuliani has also used Obama quite blatantly. The accusation is, how could Obama have allowed this to happen? What he's saying is Obama was aware of it. And hell, if I'm aware of it, you're aware of it, right? Because it came through the news, these special deals that Hunter did, and it was all just quietly hushed away. Right? Yeah, they're doing some energy deals over in Ukraine. No big deal. Yeah, move along. This can boil right up to the surface, and yeah, the swamp media isn't going to want to cover it. But the Attorney General's office, the Department of Justice at the federal level can pick this up, and they can start prosecutorial moves. They can. Maybe they already, well, we know they have the information. Maybe they just need the impetus. They need someone goosing them. A couple of fingers in the rear to get them moving. This could be the public, shall we say, this could be the public representation of that goosing. Trump could be behind the scenes goosing the Attorney General, time to prosecute. And then Giuliani comes out and says, yeah, hey, public, wake up. This is happening. I'm not saying that's what is happening. I'm saying that's what could be happening. This is why we could see, almost out of left field, this frontal assault, this flanking move against the Bidens. But who else is on the other side? If we're going to go with the battlefield concept, well, it's not just Biden on the other side. It's the Democrat Party. It's Obama, and it's Clinton. Once again, we have the Clintons. And who is backing the Clintons? Remember, those are the frontline generals. Biden, Clinton, Obama, from the Obama administration. But behind them are their power backers, the powers that be, that are the puppet masters of these high-level politicians. This is kind of a flanking move. They're going to go after Biden and say, but how could Obama allow this? And will the Democrats condone it? But also, by not mentioning Hillary, he's mentioning Hillary, in my opinion. And of course, I want him to mention Hillary, right? But over there, at this time, Hillary was the Secretary of State. That office sounds relatively innocuous. Secretary of State, which state? You know, Americans today are so ignorant of the political machinations, they don't understand. That's like the president's voice, the president's envoy, the president's personal mouthpiece, the Secretary of State, right? If the president can't come, you would almost think the Secretary of State would attend a meeting rather than the vice president. You know, the vice president is waiting for a bullet before he does anything. But the Secretary of State speaks with the authority and power of the president. So by saying, how could Obama have allowed this to happen, is to also say, how could Hillary have allowed this to happen, since she was in that position? Where can this go? What is really happening right now because of the Giuliani thing? Is this just fireworks? Is this just theater and entertainment? It could be. It really could be. It could just be a large distraction to get everyone to, hey, look over there. It could be. It has that effect whether that's the intent or not. But if it is an actual move, it's using a played piece on the board. In other words, Giuliani's been played a lot in the past. He's been a presidential candidate himself. He was as we said, the mayor of New York, and he took down the mob. I think it was John Gotti he took down. Not the whole mob, but apparently a big shot, John Gotti. Anyways, Giuliani's a played piece in a way. Right, everyone knows who he is and what he's about, and is he really that powerful? And well, he could be. He could be reintroduced as a major piece on the board, not just a secondary or tertiary role in the Trump regime. Right, but looking at what he's coming out and saying, he's not just saying there was Hunter Biden collusion with the Russians. He's not just saying there was hush money paid to the Bidens from strippers. Right? Those are the Democrat claims. Trump was in bed with the Russians and they're controlling him. This is a literal, fact-based accusation that's being reintroduced to the public. That there was Russian collusion, but it was with the Bidens. And while it may not have been Russian, right, it was from Ukraine, the opposition of Russia at the time, right? It was foreign money being passed to the Bidens through business dealings at a time when there was conflict, right? That's what we're looking at here. That's why this is so serious. And if this is a serious attack and it's going to result in prosecutorial action, not just ridiculous congressional hearings. Like I said, I couldn't give a fuck anymore about those. They never produce anything. It's just a joke. But if they prosecute them, arrests, make some arrests, we could end up with some serious flash response. In other words, scorched earth. You can call it false flag. I don't know how to put this, whether it's false flag or whether it's just a flat out attack or retaliatory response by the political power behind Biden and behind Obama and behind Hillary. Obama really has no power. All he is a mouthpiece. All he ever has been is a paper representation of the belief system of the Democrat Party. We need this figurehead that looks and sounds great, and that's how we're going to reward him for that. He's really not a power player, not like Hillary is. Hillary seems to be more of a power player, while Biden was just, not Biden, but rather Obama was just a figure. But like the Trump family, with Trump and all of his children seeking power behind the scenes, it seemed like years ago that Hunter Biden was becoming powerful in his own right under his dad, who was vice president. And this was some sort of move to enrich themselves and increase their power, their position within the regime of the left. But here we go. Will we see real action? I don't know. Is this all theater? I don't know if it's all theater or if we're seeing it as theater while things are going on behind the scenes. If we see arrests, that to me is as big a deal as far as being a prepper is concerned. If we see arrests, or the Attorney General's office becomes involved and says we're looking into this even more, right? That to me is important to us as preppers, as the United States government is sending some troops over to Saudi Arabia, right? As a precautionary effort to help protect the Saudis and the United Arab Emirates from Iranian aggression, right? That could kick off World War III. Going after Biden, which also means going after Obama and after Hillary, that has some shit it's the fan implications too, because of the scorched earth promises we've heard. That, yeah, Hillary knows there'll be, she made some nasty comments at the, when it was announced Trump was going to be president. When she lost, she knew it was her ass. And they've been fighting ever since. If they start this with the Bidens, it means they have to go after Obama and they have to go after the Clintons. And that could result in further exposure of who backed them and how these deals were made. And we could end up with a scorched earth retaliatory response to caution the Trump administration and the other side, hey, you don't get to do that, right? And so we could see major, what we would call false flags, but a major event or series of events that could be military in nature, or rather pseudo-military or pure military, bombings, explosions, or we could see this is the equivalent of a political bombing. But we could see something in the financial, monetary sectors as a retaliatory response, and we could see an infrastructure attack, a cyber attack anywhere within the system in a response to a blatant attack at one of their leaders, or rather several of their leaders, Biden, Hillary, Obama. This could get really interesting, so let's keep our eyes open and keep prepping: food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan, because this could get serious. This is just one more piece, and this is part of the multifaceted view of what is going on in the world. It used to be, or I used to think, a dozen years ago, that shit is going to hit the fan because something will break, or something will collapse, or something will happen. But right now, everything is unified. The economy is politics. The economy is military. The political system is an economic system, is the infrastructure. Everything is now tied back together in a sort of truss lattice work, supporting each other. Every little leg is supporting each other, and so any attack on any one leg is an attack on the entire structure itself. So we could have shit hitting the fan coming from anywhere. Anyways, let's keep an eye out. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. No panicking, just be prepared, because chance favors the prepared mind is yours. You guys be cool. I'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty, let's see. Fun. Let's see. Is it bedtime yet? It's bedtime. I better not say that too loud, or else I have a dog up my butt. Hang on here, I'm scrolling. Let's see. Trying to find something to fit in the time frame allotted. I guess I'm scrolling down. Might help if I put my glasses on and not knock stuff over. Let's see. Okay. I shall do this one for one. This is Suspicious Observers. It's one that he put out this evening. It's titled Greta, I guess it's Greta. Greta and AOC, 4 critical climate numbers they don't know.
Here are 4 critical numbers in the climate debate that most people don't know. Below the video, find substantiation and more information for the short presentation. 3. There are 3 years left until the 2022 IPCC official report, the first one that will have solar particle forcing. This is like a doomsday clock for the extremists out in the streets this week, when the official UN report will begin to show another side. 2. It has been 2 years since the particle forcing dataset has been released to the public. We have seen a number of studies already use it to refine known correlations between the sun and climate, and to discover a plethora of new ones. 1. One clarification statement made by the Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization. You can tell he got spanked over his words days earlier and issued a statement that the climate work was still so critical, but he also refused to budge on his previous comments about the extremists, cherry-picking aspects of the scientific reports to substantiate their extreme claims and activism. Greta, AOC, he's talking to you. 0. There have been 0 studies using the particle forcing data that have shown human forcing of the climate. Not 1. Most scientists have opted not to use it until they have to, 2022. But those that have found solar forcing supreme. The whole story of why the IPCC let this in, what is happening and what is expected to happen with the science, and the real story of climate change, all in our movie, Climate Forcing, linked for you below the video. Let's all remember, pollution is terrible for a million reasons outside of the climate discussion, and let's not forget where most of it comes from. Over 1/3 of all pollution, air and plastic, comes from China and India. This dwarfs the advanced world production, with China having nearly doubled the second-place polluter. Links below the video. I'll see you in the morning. Be safe, everyone.
Alrighty, got one from Ron Paul Liberty Report, a short one here titled Weekly Update. Will more U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia make America great? I thought it was a humorous question.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the weekly report. Will more U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia make America great? President Trump deserves credit for resisting the war cries from neocons like Senator Lindsey Graham and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo after last week's attack on 2 Saudi oil facilities. Pompeo was eager to blame Iran because he wants war with Iran, and anything that can trigger such a war is fine with him. So he put the president in a difficult spot by declaring Iran the culprit. Suddenly, the president's options in the media and in Washington were limited to how to punish Iran. A week has now passed since the attack, and Pompeo's rush to judgment has been shown for what it was: war propaganda. That is because there has still been no determination of who launched the attack. Yemen's Houthis took responsibility right away, and Iran denied any involvement. We have seen nothing to this point that contradicts this. President Trump likely understands that a U.S. war on Iran will be his undoing as president. Who knows? Maybe that's what his closest advisors want. But according to a Gallup poll just last month, only 18% of the Americans were in favor of military action against Iran. 78% of Americans, including 72% of Republicans, want the president to pursue diplomatic efforts over war. Iran has made clear that any attack on its territory will trigger a total war. The Middle East would be engulfed in flames and the U.S. economy would be in the tank. Suddenly, we'd see Democrat challengers pretending to be anti-war. The message to Trump is pretty clear. War with Iran would be deeply unpopular, and it seems clear he understands the message. Just hours after his Secretary of State put the U.S. on war footing with Iran, President Trump has forced to walk back Pompeo's aggression. When asked about going to war with Iran, President Trump said, "Do I want war? I don't want war with anybody." Unfortunately, with pressure on President Trump to do something, even as Iran has not been found to have been behind the attack, the president has settled on two measures. One pointless and the other dangerous. On Friday, Trump announced yet even more sanctions on Iran, leaving many of us to wonder what is possibly left to sanction. He also announced a deployment of U.S. military forces to Saudi Arabia of a defensive nature. Why should the military be sent to defend one of the wealthiest and most repressive countries on earth? It's hard to see how putting U.S. service members into harm's way, into a war zone to defend Saudi Arabia can in any way make America great again. I believe most Americans would agree. President Trump should immediately cancel the order to send U.S. troops to Saudi Arabia and should immediately remove what troops are already on Saudi soil. Then the Saudis would understand that they must end their aggression against Yemen. Attempting to placate the neocons is a fool's errand because they are never satisfied, even up to and including war. The tide is turning in America and even in Washington against Saudi Arabia. After the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi and a catastrophic 4-year Saudi war on Yemen, no American politician is any longer in the mood to stick his or her neck out to defend Saudi Arabia. President Trump would be wise to use caution. It's always dangerous sticking one's neck out when the Saudi government is around. Thanks for listening.
Alrighty. I'll tell you what. Wow. Just looking over social media today, or things that went on today, and I'll tell you what, these legislators are going to have a fight on their hands, and rightfully so. That's a good thing. That is a really, really good thing. Now, you're talking about a substantial amount of people, and you're talking about something that most of us are very passionate about. Most of us aren't what you call hobby vapors. Most of us use vaping to get away from nicotine. Well, let me rephrase that, to get away from smoking, okay? Because most of us do still vape nicotine. But nonetheless, we're passionate about it, and we don't want to go back to smoking, I absolutely don't. You know what? After being away from smoking for this long, our neighbor can be on his back porch, me sitting in the living room, he can be on his, which is in the front of the house, he can be on his back porch and light up a cigarette, and I know it. I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to smelling like that, right? And don't get me wrong, I love the smell of a cigarette. It's not like that I don't like the smell of it, but I don't want to smell like it. And I still crave that tobacco taste. That will probably never go away. But I don't have to have it because I've got my nicotine. I'm good with this. And I think a lot of people really kind of feel the same way. A lot of the vapors feel the same way. I'll tell you what, they have got a fight on their hands. They truly, truly do. And I really hope and I pray that the so-called Second Amendment supporters take notes. Because they have been far too complacent, right? You can't fight these battles primarily from behind a computer. You have to put boots on the ground. You have to get into their face, and I don't necessarily mean in a confrontational, physical, violent kind of way, but you have to be front and center. And I'm not talking about just going and listening to lip service, listening to representatives talking out the side of their neck. I'm talking about going up and flat out telling them, we are not going to stand for this. We will raise more hell than what you could ever imagine. And I think that's what we're starting to see happen. And that is a good thing. I see that people were assembling today in New Jersey. So I think that is incredible. That is incredible. This is what we need. This is what we need. And I have really been pushing hard on the idea of literally taking your tents, taking your supplies, showing up at the state capitol buildings, and camping. Literally camping. Because there is nothing that will make a statement like that. Nothing. The closest thing to it was Occupy Wall Street. And where did they camp? Public parks. You're going to make an impact doing that, but not nearly the same impact as if you're at the state capitol buildings. You're really going to be waking some people up. You know, the problem with a lot of protests and marches and stuff is the very people that you want to reach out to are not the people that you're going to be seeing when you're marching through those streets, unless you go to where they live or you go to where they work, right? So, you know, the whole intent is to make an impact on those individuals that have control. So, go to the state capitol buildings. Make them look at you. Make them deal with you. Make them have to walk through 3,000 people just to get inside, to get into their office. Not just one day, but every day until they stop. Anyway, I am going to well, I'm going to have to deal with a couple of things just as soon as I sign off here. I've been kind of crazy here lately. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we use a fair amount of kratom in a month. We probably go through close to a kilo a month, I would say. So, but that's two of us. So, two of us taking it 3 times a day. Other folks may not need to take it necessarily 3 times a day, or may not have to take the amount that we do, or it just varies per person. But I do need to hop off here because I do have some conversations going on that I need to get finished up on social media, because I'm trying to get all this stuff arranged. So it's takes a little bit of work. But anyway, let me go ahead and hop off of here, and God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm telling you, I am worn out. I am absolutely worn out. So anyway, I hope to see you guys then. As always, God bless you. We love you, and be one with your spirit.